are live one last time. So, hello everybody, and welcome back again. It's been a dramatic 3 weeks of qualifying, but it looks like we are finally here at the finals of the EU Trial by Blood Chivalry 2 Dueling Tournament. I am your host and caster, KWA Swooshi, and with me is my good friend and co-caster, Jizuzo, also known as KRT Lancelot. How you doing, Jizuzo?
I'm doing great. I've been looking forward to this.
Haven't we all? Since every single player here has, in some capacity, had to earn their place. Pretty much everyone is the class of the field. You're going to see the best of the best in EU competing. So we are a bit spoilt for matches, to say the least. Speaking of matches we want to see, looks like we're getting right to it. And this is one that, as soon as the draw came out, we were all sort of salivating a bit for. I think we're about to start with the round one between Warbeast and Astro. A bit of an inter-clan matchup here. Two of the best players in one of the best clans in all of Chivalry 2. And two of the best players in the game. And they're off. So, obviously, Astro absolutely dominated his bracket in Qualifier 1. Matched up against Warbeast because he qualified 5th, but I must say, in spectacular fashion, I don't think anyone can forget the way that he punched his way, literally, to the grand finals. And off to a start. Classic Messer matchup. Favorite weapon of the both of them, I think. We see them use it all the time in the duel yard. Now, yeah, sorry, Jizuzo.
This is actually quite interesting because Astro was dominating his bracket. I mean, his qualifier. So, how will he fare against Warbeast's unique playstyle?
Well, unique is one way to put. Well, Warbeast already asserting a bit of his presence here, trying the classic tackles. You saw there that Astro is clearly used to facing them, because he actually dealt with it correctly. He timed that slash to perfection to stop the contact, but then Warbeast with a very nice slash axel. These players know how to beat each other. You know, they're two of the most experienced members of BKM clan, and they face each other in practice every day. So, and Warbeast winding up another tackle. Just sort of ate it with the block this time by Astro. And a few Messer overheads. These two, we talked about how last time when Astro was qualifying, how he's absolutely mastered the toe drag, sort of sweeping the opponent's ankles. And Warbeast is very good at this as well. So you're going to see a lot of sort of overhead manipulations. They're both very good at using those Messer swing manips. Maybe better than almost any other player in the game, at least in the EU, I'd say. Good feint to jab there. We've seen that a lot in this in the qualifiers so far. Oh, and Warbeast going for a lot of jabs, which is interesting. Oh, but a huge spin by Astro. That was really nice. Warbeast did not read that at all. A lot of jab wars. I would say that in sort of when it comes to those battles between jabs and kicks and things, you would expect Astro has a bit of an advantage because his ping is a lot lower than Warbeast's. But of course, Warbeast's very experienced, probably won't make a huge difference.
I don't see Warbeast struggling with his ping.
No, not at all. Ooh, nice spacing there, or whiff punish by Astro. So I think that pretty much no one wanted to. It's kind of almost like a curse because being a top seed gets you drawn up against a lower seed in the finals. But ironically, two of our lowest seeds, I say that term very loosely, nice overhead by Warbeast there, would have had to draw against Tedo and Warbeast if they were top seeds, as both of them qualified 5th. But I think it would be disingenuous to say that they are two of the weakest players in the draw, because, oh, wow, nice, he ran in and he may have just got around the side of Warbeast's guard there. Astro very good at those side hits. And this fight is shaping up pretty much as we expected. Very close and very tense. So, we spoke about this in the last qualifier, but the large majority of Warbeast going for another tackle, I think Astro knows this coming, but it's so risky because Yes, you can punish it by trying to get good spacing and just attacking him as he runs in with a well-timed stab or slash, but if you get it wrong and Warbeast knocks you to the floor, he'll get a free 80 damage with the Mesa overhead, so Astro clearly deciding it's just not worth the risk.
Let me quickly answer a question regarding in the Twitch chat. Rizrak is asking us why there are 4 fights at the same time. Primarily because of time constraints.
Yes. We a nice jab collision there. Yeah, it's mostly a time constraint thing. What'll happen is, as the rounds go on, we'll have less matches running simultaneously. But kind of just on the projection of how long the tournament would take, if we ran it 2 at a time, we kind of figured past tournaments have taken a bit on the longer side. A tackle into kick, realizing that Astro might panic parry a follow-up attack, because Warbeast often attacks after landing a tackle, and caught him off guard there. That was a very good piece of tactics by Warbeast. Yeah, so it's predominantly for time constraint reasons, but as we get deeper into the draw, the matches will drop down to 2 at a time, and eventually we'll go 1 by 1. Just because we miss some players initially, if they lose, they won't get knocked out straight away. There is a losers bracket. This draw is double elimination for the finals. So you will still get a chance to see players even if they don't win their first round. So hopefully we will still get to see as many players as we can. Wow, and that was kind of a quick fight by there. Not entirely sure what happened, but Astro not getting the read on that slash XL again by Warbeast, and he's got a couple of kills on Astro already that way. Don't know if he's going for back hits or Drayam slashes with those slashes, but to say Astro getting surprisingly caught off guard there. Also a shout out, we do have another streamer, co-streamer, who's partnering with us today to watch some of the other matches going on, and that's Kakao. That's Khakao, I believe. A well-known Shiv 2 streamer in EU, and he will be watching some of the other matches too. So if you do want to see anything else that's going on, feel free to drop by, and maybe he's casting a match that you want to see as well. And like I mentioned earlier, we do have our referees recording as well, so hopefully we'll have nearly every match recorded at some point for posterity. A few more jabs. You can tell these players know each other's playstyle so well, because even though they're throwing a lot of different looks at each other, they clearly are getting good reads on each other. And yes, another jab and another jab. Wow, we know the jabs are the meta, but these guys clearly taking it to new heights. Looks like we have a bit of an upset in the corner. Looks like Magic Trash Can has just beaten Dog Eater, or Greatsword Eater, 5-2. So those who remember Magic Trash Can actually sort of perhaps surprise people on his way to the finals with some rather unusual Danax throws. Very, very effective strategy, and it seems like he's managed to catch Greatsword Eater out. So a bit of an upset, I think, considering the Greatsword Eater is the runner-up of the qualifier. Sorry, did you
Magic won?
Magic won 5-2, at least according to the game chat from one of the refs. So yeah, looks like we have our first big upset. So we're not hanging around there. And speaking of upsets, technically the top seed in Astro is currently 4-1 down against Warbeast, who is the 5th seed. So yeah, looks like this may be a day of surprises, which I guess is what we like to see. As a reminder, though, we do have a losers bracket, so even if they lose their first round, they're not out yet. Look in the background, it seems that we have Cripsy Duck against Tedo 4-2 as well. We'll try and, if that match is still going on, catch the end of that as well, if we can, because I think people want to see Cripsy Duck as the defending champion, of course. Can Warbeast close this out? Warbeast going for an interesting strat, the look down special. For those who don't know, if you look straight at the floor as you special, it actually hits them in the first frame of the animation. It does hit incredibly quickly, so it's a very effective tactic. Nice overhead by Astro there, kind of just pulling it around to catch Warbeast. I think Warbeast ran back either to make space or get stam or get a tackle wound up, but Astro clocking onto it and following him to make sure he can't try anything too cheeky. Oh, and Astro with a nice gamble there. I think sensing that Warbeast was just going for another heavy feint overhead, sort of another one too many, and taking the risk, and it paid off. Gutsy play considering that he's 4-1 down, but it paid off for him. Looks like they're not hanging around in the other draws. Looks like Cripsy has beaten Tedo 5-2 in his draw. Tedo a very strong player, yeah, as we saw, but obviously Cripsy coming out in force today, realizing that he's got a title to defend. So yeah, well played by Cripsy. If there were any questions about what form he's in since he won the last tournament, I guess that might put those doubts to rest. Nice feinted jab there, and then another jab, maybe trying to exploit the slightly higher ping of Warbeast, not really able to react to those. Some nice matrix dodges there, realizing they're jabbing each other so much, they're just saying, nope, we're just not going to get hit by those anymore. And back to a nice rally. You'll see with these two players, especially Warbeast, where even though they can do the standard counter rallies, they can do the protracted fights, they very much like to use a bit more variety in the way they play. They'll mix in the jabs, the kicks, a lot of neutrals, and even some tackles here and there. So it's not going to be your bog standard rallies for these two. They are not afraid to mix it up at all and try different things. And when you have two players who are good at that, you're going to end up with a lot of variety in the way they play. Oh, that was brutal. And he takes the first round with an Axel into a jab to finish him. Two teammates and Wandy, of course, being the winner qualifier 3. Let's see how Gingy's doing. I know that. Okay, so Gingy is a fellow teammate in KWA with myself. So we've had conversations about. Let's just say that he wasn't. It probably wasn't his first choice of opponent in Wandy for Gingy, as Wandy is, as good as he is. But Gingy has been coming up with some strategies he thinks might work against Wandy. Whether or not he can pull it off, we'll see in execution. But so far, he seems to be holding his own pretty well, actually, getting at least a couple of wins off Wandy. But the thing with Wandy is that he can play every weapon, and if you go to a one-hander against him, as you can see, he can just take a one-hander himself. But some nice play by Gingy breaking the shield, but then Wandy does the same. Neither of them are able to get rid of their shields in time before they break, and now they're both very low on health, both of them one hit from death, and Gingy's got to be so careful. Wandy not afraid to jab the opponents when they're in low health. Wandy with a bit of a taunt there. Trying to bait something in. Oh, nice neutral overhead by the Rapier, and maybe the Rapier just with that fraction faster speed from neutral than the one-handed sword, and looks like we are almost 3 for 3 in terms of upsets here. Potentially, not quite though. It looks like we're still 4-3 up, so Wandy's still in the lead, but Gingy definitely giving him a run for his money, I must say. I would say Gingy's playing a clever strategy here, because Gingy is very much a one-handed specialist, and I think he feels that Wandy is so strong with sort of the two-handed standard counter rally kind of sort of defensive gameplay that if he plays Wandy on his terms, he'll have a sort of a much lower chance of winning. So by almost picking such a fast weapon and a one-hander and forcing Wandy to do the same, maybe he feels he can fight more on his terms. And so far, it's working pretty well. Oh, going for the kick and it works. Oh, and then going for a special, maybe anticipating a jab coming in. If you go for a Rapier special after landing a hit, it's a very good way to skip the opponent's jab and get another free hit. All but two big swings from Wandy, and now Gingy very low on health. And he disarms him, and this might... Oh, no, not quite able to punish the disarm. And Gingy going for the axe. Another very good weapon against the footman, to be fair. Oh, and then Gingy trying to go around the guard, but Wandy tracked him so well with that overhead, especially considering it's a one-hander, and I think that might be 5-3. So Wandy doing well to fight off a very good challenge by Gingy there. Okay, looks like they're actually going to go now. Okay, very good. All right, so maybe we'll see more than just slashes, and looks like I might be totally wrong. So far, we've only had slashes. Oh no, an overhead. Look at that. So MK, and this is something people might have observed in the last round, he does not like to feint at all. He's very much about stamming his opponent down. In two ways. One, by using a mix of axels and drags to kind of throw off his opponent in the counter game. But secondly, he'll often start using a lot of feint jabs to jab people out of there. Oh, and a nice catch with a slash by MK there. And there it is. So you see, when he starts seeing that his opponent's countering too early, he starts chaining feint jabs to, and that was a very nice combination there.
technically, if it takes too long, we can always switch to another duel in the meantime, because they're pumping these duels out quite rapidly.
They really are
Jesus.
not hanging around. Yeah, I must say, I'm a little surprised at how quick it's going. Clearly deciding that time is money, and they just want to get to the later rounds.
Yeah,
We'll
but
see
we
this
don't
one.
have any money. That's the problem.
We don't, but just as a reminder, actually, now's a perfect time to point out to our viewers that this is actually a tournament with a prize pool. And the prize pool, 100% of the donations go to the players. And if you do want to donate, then I believe there's a link in the description of the channel where you can make a donation. And on top of that, last week, I'm glad to report that this Twitch channel on Tournament Grounds became affiliate, which means that you can now subscribe. And if you subscribe, any profits that are made from that will also go to the players' prize pool. So no obligation, but if you do want to make a donation to our players for the effort they put in to get this far, and obviously for the eventual winners and runner-ups, please feel free to do so, and I'm sure they'd be really grateful. Another long counter rally. Again, another example of two players who have got very good defense using a loadout which is almost better than any when it comes to defensive play. So some good rallies here. Say it'll be over in a flash though, because the heavy mace does huge damage to a knight. Ooh, and an overhead riposte, and that came out so quickly that MK just caught off guard after all those chains of slashes.
Yes, and in the background, Magic Trash Can hit Samwise with an axe.
Ah, Samwise, I believe, is a referee, so yeah, so
Yes.
maybe a bit naughty, but you know, Magic and his Danax throws, as we know it and love it. MK going for a Warhammer, so maybe feeling that mirror match with the heavy mace was not quite working for him. A nice gamble by Volley. Very impressive to be able to gamble a weapon as fast as the Warhammer, so he clearly timed that effort really well. So MK, his two main weapons are probably gonna, I would say, be the heavy mace and the Warhammer. The Warhammer is something I think he's been experimenting with a bit more recently, and by his observation, it's a very hard weapon to counter.
One second. Thank you, Lucy Shade. You're the best.
Ah, has Lucy? Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah, raided us with 24 people.
Oh, thank you, Lucy.
Allow me to be the first person to apologize that I didn't have French in school.
Yes, so Lucy Shade is actually a member of OVA clan, I believe, and she streams regularly, often with her OVA teammates, and OVA are predominantly, I gather, a French and French-speaking clan. So, say like some fabulous players, and a few of them we've actually seen taking part in the Trial by Blood. So thank you, Lucy, for the raid, and shout out to Lucy again. Please do check out her channel when you can. She's an excellent streamer. So Volley kind of having MK on the back foot in the earlier rounds, but maybe MK getting a bit more of a read on this and getting a few nice moves. We saw just there a feint to stab spin, which is a signature move. MK has very good spins. He doesn't necessarily use them all the time, but when he does, his gameplay is absolute fireworks. He has some of the best spins in EU, I think. And he doesn't just do regular spins. He'll do spins with feinted jabs and feinted kicks. All kinds of different looks he'll throw at his opponent. And sometimes, if you're not used to it, you can just be overwhelmed. Long counter rally here. Again, we're going to see some very long counter rallies with Heavy Mace matchups, because Heavy Mace recently got buffed, so that... Oh, a nice light drag by MK. So the Heavy Mace recently got a buff, which means that if you're using the weapon on the knight, you take 20% less stamina damage when you block an attack. Now, the knight's inherent weakness, besides its speed and being susceptible to blunt damage, is the fact that it has one of the lowest stam pools compared to something like the Vanguard. So that buff to the weapon really offsets that and makes this, what was once perhaps a bit of a niche loadout, meta now. I know it's very popular in NA and it's really catching on in EU.
By the way, Swooshy, your microphone is catching a bit of background noise.
Is it now? That's interesting.
Yes, weird static noise.
Interesting, because there is nothing in the background.
First I thought it was me, but it just has this weird static noise.
Okay.
At least for me.
Okay. We'll keep an eye on it. There's nothing else actually in my room, so it may just be the mic. I'll restart the mic in a second.
Well, it stopped now. It stopped now.
Oh, it stopped. Okay, good, excellent. Couple of feinted jabs there. Ooh, nice slash there by MK. That almost looked like a Draham slash, almost like a slash back hit. I can't say for certain. What I will say is back hits are allowed in this tournament, and MK did ask me if they were allowed to be sure before the finals, so he knows how to do them, and he did want to make sure they were allowed, so don't be surprised if we see a couple from him. Ooh, a nice feint to stab 360 there, sort of very, very good disguise of the animation. Volley doing a good job to get the read on that. Volley has to be careful here. He's only taken 2 hits, I think, but such is the damage to the knight with a heavy mace, he's literally 1 hit from death. Ooh, a nice gamble on the spin there, I see. A couple of jabs, and both of them knowing that they're going to go for the jabs and getting their parries up quite well. Oh, nice. I think that was another light drag that maybe Volley just didn't quite read.
Switch between fights?
Yes, very well.
It's a request from the chat, I just noticed.
Yeah, no problem.
Maybe we can watch Duma Punk a bit?
Yes, is Duma facing Punk now?
Yes, and he's okay. He has the advantage so far. I'll keep an eye out on the other duels that are going on in the background.
Absolutely. No, thank you for telling me. Jasuzo is my eyes and ears for this streamer, people. So if he says if he points out a match that's going on, he will let me know.
To be fair, Senpai pointed it out to me because I was watching the match.
Fair enough. Well, this is a match that we did want to watch, to be fair.
Yeah, I love Duma. He's Dutch.
Duma, yes. One, he's Dutch. Secondly, he is an extremely good player. Those who saw Qualifier 2 will see just how good he was. He absolutely steamrolled his way to the finals and took that in 7-1 against Pablo. Oh, nice stab by Duma there. That was close though. And Punk is no opponent to sneeze at, to say the least. However, Duma showing his class, as we can see, it's 4-1 to Duma already. And like I said, Duma faced some of the best players in EU in his bracket to qualify, and to be honest, he went completely unchallenged. He lost a single... He died once in the entire draw, and that was in the final. He was absolutely imperious in his qualification. So do not be surprised if he goes all the way to the finals, because I think he may be considered by some to be one of the favorites. And Duma as well, using that heavy mace. He's picked it up fairly recently, I would say. Used to be a longsword main, but again, since that heavy mace buff, has realized that the loadout is so advantageous. Especially
Duma's good with any weapon. That's kind of the issue. But the heavy mace is the one that he's going for. But this guy can literally use any weapon to win, even the Highland sword.
The Highland sword, yes. Duma knows how to use the Highland sword. Duma's got very good drags. He's got very good swing manipulation. You know, maybe some of the best in the game. And oh, nice overhead axel by Duma there. Okay, let's go over to this match because it looks like MK's doing some resets. And just in time to see One Day really showing his abilities. So you'd think that the Maul is not the best matchup against a one-hander, but clearly not afraid to show what it can do. Not remotely worried about the slower neutral game of the Maul or being gambled. Is currently 2-0 up against Kraz with the one-hander. Kraz, like Gingy, is well known for being a one-handed specialist. He really likes the one-handed sword and man-at-arms, and really plays into his strengths. He's not afraid to mix in specials, spacing, using the odd gamble here and there, and really excelling the attacks so they're hard to read. Oh, a nice attempt at a stab drag by Kraz, but 1D reading it. 1D, I think most people in EU know who he is. 1D the Wall, as you can see in his title there, and I think that's a pretty apt description. Oh, nice slash, and the Maul may be slow, but it hits like an absolute truck, and already Kraz low on health and his shield about to break. Clever by Kraz, going for the shield throw and realizing it's about to break and potentially give away a free hit, but now he's going to be at a huge stand disadvantage in terms of weapon loadouts, and if he doesn't counter nearly everything... and if you saw there, maybe just managed to catch it, Kraz trying to gamble a jab. 1D going for the Axel at the same time, and as a result not able to get the jab in time. It's a good strategy against something like a Maul, which is quite slow, because if you gamble a jab after landing a hit, the jab will land unless the Maul user is quite fast with their Axels. So it's quite a good way of upping the tempo of the fight. Wandy, though, very experienced and quite good at reading jabs, so didn't work on that occasion. He's setting to neutral a bit. Wandy being careful. He's trying to get close, but he realizes that if he runs in and just does a regular attack, Kraz can gamble him because the weapon, the longsword is, or the one-handed sword is that quick. Going for
I mean, whatever Kraz is gonna do, he has to figure out something quick.
Yes, I say, like, there's all these advantages he, in theory, has, but none of them have worked so far because Wandy and his maul. Yeah. Again, Wandy is the wall, and so far, well, there's one hit. But yeah, Wandy with maybe the best defense in EU. And he doesn't do anything fancy. Oh, nice spacing, though, by Kraz. If you saw that, he leaned back and almost matrix ducked the attack by the maul, and the maul being quite slow on its recovery, he was able to exploit the whiff and get a good attack with the one-handed sword. So really well played, well adapted.
Well, maybe Kraz can do this like 4 more times, and
maybe he can.
Maybe he can. At least he's learning the distance for them all.
Yes, and the one-handed sword is a longer weapon than people give it credit for, especially that stab, because it's I would say almost as long as the longsword stab. Maybe not quite, but the way, because it's a one-hander, the character almost turns their shoulder in as they do the attack. It's a lot longer than you'd expect, and you'd be surprised how easy it is to space someone with that attack. Another 360 shield throw there. Wandy obviously saw it coming.
Oh, it worked.
Kraz went, I think, for a ground hit and tried to gamble out of it with a combo. Now, there was a time where you could combo a lot quicker off of ground hits, and that may have worked in the past, but there was a patch not that long ago, which means that you now get staggered out of a ground hit, and to be honest, that wasn't really nearly quick enough, and as soon as Wandy saw it, I think he read it and just went for an Axel and got the kill. We just see in the background here, looks like we've got magic against Luke Dane. We'll try and catch the tail end of this, and then we'll try and maybe go to that one, because I know that Cookie, as he's called himself, is MK with the good win, pulling it back almost from the jaws of defeat there, taking out Volley. So Volley, I think, will be a bit disappointed, but a very, very good fight by the both of them. Volley, of course, with another chance to lose his bracket. He's clearly playing well today as well. And that was a good win by Wandy. Okay, so Cookie, aka Magic Trash Can, I think was a bit of a crowd favorite in the previous qualifier, in Qualifier 2, when he really gave Pablo a run for his money and completely bamboozled his opponents with those Danax throws. Oh, and it nearly works again, but Luke Dane very saw it coming, very experienced. He was able to get his parry up in time, and that's what happens if you're not careful. If you throw that Danax and you're in the range of something like a pole hammer, I believe it is, it's quite easy to get punished with its long range. Going for another one, got to be careful. Gets his weapon in time, so that was very risky. Good overhead as well, and say he might be able to. Oh, good spacing by Luke Dane though, able to, space out the spin. Oh, and he goes for the bare fist. No, and it didn't work. Luke Dane was so patient there. He realized that he was actually one punch from death and just kept his guard up. Didn't do anything crazy.
Yeah, but why didn't Magic just pull out his knife?
It's a good question.
Do you think these people forget that they have knives?
In all honesty, it's one of those things where because when you're a raider, you have 2 secondaries. The knife isn't really treated as a secondary. It doesn't get pulled out automatically, especially if you're disarmed, and often people just sort of forget it's there. And we've seen that a few times where players forget they have their mallets, forget they have their knives, and potentially it might have been the play, but say under pressure, it's easier said than done to remember sometimes. Luke Dane switching now to a cudgel. Cudgel, considered by some to be the weakest weapon in all of Chivalry. I think some of its attacks do less damage than bare fists, so interesting he's going for it, but to be honest, it's not causing him any issues. The mix of the cudgel axels and some jabs, and he managed to take that pretty convincingly. So, like I said, Luke Dane knows how to use every weapon.
By the way, I think they're going to start a new match.
Are they now?
Yeah, Crispy is getting ready.
Oh, who's he facing?
Let me quickly check the tournament grounds. Let me see. Crispy versus Doomer.
Cripsy Doomer. Okay. I I think we have to watch that one. Defending champion against the winner of qualifier 2 and one of the favorites. This will be a big test for Duma. He's proven he's pretty much unbeatable so far in these qualifiers. So let's see if Cripsy, as the defending champion, can maybe give him a test. Ooh, a nice disarm by by Magic, but maybe not realizing he'd get the disarm and dodging away from it to do the wind up with the throw, and as a result not punishing it. So a bit unfortunate there. Goes for the kick, and Luke Dane reads it.
Yeah, I'll let you know when Duma versus Cripsy.
Oh, look at that throw, and he timed that whiff punish to perfection, catching him completely mid animation.
I'll be sure to watch it later again.
Absolutely. So even against the class of Luke Dane and his versatility and adaptability, it seems that no one is safe from Magic and his almost sucker punch level Danax throws. Of course, we saw that he had a fairly big upset against Greatsword Eater.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. It was MK. I think it's MK versus Duma.
MK Duma. Oh, okay, yeah, that was on our show card, so to speak. So we'll go check that one out once it's done, because again, 2 of the favorites for the tournament. We'll see that one as soon as we can.
Well, to be fair, it seems that most of the brackets should be right.
That fight will be going ahead because those 2 players did win their brackets. We're going for 360 throw there. Not quite. So Magic has to be careful here because he's doing a lot of... He likes to do attack cancels. Oh, and a disarm into jab, and a savage finish there from Luke Dane. So patient there not to fall into the trap of getting caught too many times by those throws. That was 5-2 to Luke Dane.
No, Gingy corrected me. I'm looking too far into the fucking brackets. It's Crispy Duck versus MK. Final attempt. Jesus. I have so many tabs open right now.
Yeah, like I said, viewers, this is a team effort here at Tournament Grounds. We have a lot of staff behind the scenes, and Jesuzo has been my eyes and ears and lifesaver these last qualifiers, because while I'm streaming this event and trying to keep a track of all the players, he's the one telling me what's going on. So, like I said, thank you, Jesuzo, for keeping us updated. We'll try and get as much action in as we can in this lightning fast tournament, clearly deciding that we don't want to have a multi-hour slog. We just want to get right to it and get straight to the punchline. And we're already working our way into round 2, I think, so no messing around here.
I just got a message that Crispy and MK are going to start any second now.
Any second. Okay, let's keep an eye.
Any second.
All right, well, that's Cripsy there. And as you can see, Cripsy wearing the peasant cap, the Tenosian one, to be precise. And it's not just money that's on the line if you win Trial by Blood, because traditionally speaking, the winners of Trial by Blood get rewarded a community peasant cap, which is only given as a special community reward. So Cripsy earned this from winning the last Trial by Blood as defending champion. He's decided to rock it, and look at that! Isn't that just a glorious, glorious piece of drip there? So yes, if you really want a peasant cap, fear not, because if you win Trial by Blood, the cap can be yours. Maybe a bit easier said than done, obviously. Let's see. While we're waiting for that, we'll just go back to this one. Looks like we've got Astro and Punk in losers bracket. So as a reminder, Astro losing round 1 against Warbeast, and Punk losing to Duma. So now they're facing off in losers. This is their last shot, so to speak, so they can't afford any more mistakes. Double elimination. So if whoever loses this will be going home. But just because you're in losers doesn't mean it's over. Quite famously, I must say, Luke Dane, I believe, beat Cripsy in the winners bracket to knock Cripsy to losers bracket, and Cripsy fought his way out of losers bracket to win the losers final and the grand final consecutively against Luke Dane, to eventually make a roaring comeback to win the Trial by Blood. So these guys aren't counting themselves out yet, I'm sure of it. They will still keep fighting until the very end. 4-all. Looks like we have a nail biter on our hands here. Danax mirror match as well, so keep your eyes ready. We could have a winner of this fight in a flash. Very tense, you can see. They're not getting into too many protracted rallies. A lot of neutral swings. Both of them, I'm sure, very keen to make sure they don't get hit first. Danax doing a huge amount of damage on a Vanguard. Oh, a big slash drag by Astro. And already taking over half of Punk's health. So that's one. Can he land another? Again, resetting to neutral. Neither player wanting to advance too quickly and get caught in a counterattack by their opponents. Ooh, feint a jab there by Punk. Oh, and an overhead by Astro, and he takes it, and that's 5-4. My word. I think Astro will be very relieved to get through that one. That was Punk is a very, very, very good opponent. He did super well to claw that one out. So unlucky to Punk. He played really well, especially to get this far. Well played to Astro, 5-4. She's still waiting, so we'll head over here. It looks like we've got Volley against Tedo in losers bracket. Tedo being beaten by Cripsy and Volley losing a very close fight against MK, almost taking the win there. These two are very regular regular players in the Juilliard, so they'll face each other quite a lot. So again, they'll know their gameplays. Relatively similar gameplay styles, sort of not really too into the neutrals or anything overly fancy. They just like to grind their opponents down with a mixture of swing manipulations and good stamina management. This may be I hope you can forgive a bit of caster's bias, because on the one hand we've got Volley, who is from KWA, my clan, and on the other hand we've got Tedo, who's from KRT, which is Jizuzo's clan. So we may be rooting for slightly different players in this fight.
Oh, I'm 100% neutral here, but my clan member just kicked your clan member's ass.
Yes, that
quite
was
literally.
Yes, that was quite literally a nice kick to finish, a bit of a yeet across the arena there. Yes, totally neutral observation there, Jizuzo. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but honestly, I hope that the best player wins.
Oh, I think we all do. So regardless of clan,
they're both incredibly good.
Definitely, and say like regardless of clan, like even though we obviously are friends with a lot of these players, at the end of the day, what we're here to see and what you're all here to see is who is the best player in EU, and for that reason, we hope that the best player will win. And to be honest, I'm sure they will. Who is the best on the day? So Volley's gone for a one-hander. He's been experimenting, I'd say experimenting, since the build-up to Qualifier 3 with the one-handed axe. Normally known for his two-handed matches, but maybe having a play more with the one-handers. Working quite well in this fight, actually. That mix-up's working quite well. Got to be careful, though, because if he doesn't get rid of that shield, or starts riposting too much, that shield will break and give Tedo a massive hit. Oh, and I think that was a bit of a whiff by Tedo. Sort of just got punished there by Volley, and that's one advantage of a one-hander. It's so easy to whiff punish because the attacks are so quick. Shout out to Hal, who is our referee for this match. Hal, people might remember, was actually a competitor in Qualifier 1. Came very close to qualifying. Got knocked out by Dog in the quarterfinals.
Yes, and that's why we gave him a new job.
As referee, indeed. So a shout out to the players. This event is community run, and the referees and staff were all just volunteers. And a lot of people who, even though they competed, also took part as well. Because without our sort of people who are enthusiastic about the competitive scene, we would not be able to go ahead with this. So shout out to everyone who's helped make this happen. A couple of big hits already by Volley, and Tedo very low on health. Ooh. That's very nice. I think that was a bit of an ankle drag, actually. He sort of went into that overhead, and the one-handed weapons like the axe and the sword, very good at... If you do the reverse overhead, they're very good at curving like across your own body and hitting around the back of the opponent's leg or shoulder. And that was a very good example of it there. You could see him almost angling his way behind Tedo's leg to get that overhead and hitting around his guard.
Yeah, but Tedo is committed to using the Messer.
He is. I won't be surprised if he switches to heavy mace, because that's another weapon he's very good at, and is also a weapon that's very good against knights. But so far, like you say, he's really sticking with it. I think the Messer is Tedo's preferred weapon. He's very good with pretty much any two-handed weapon, though, so he may mix it up if he decides this matchup is really not working. Oh, a nice gamble by Volley.
It was a gamble!
It was a gamble, and so good with the one-handed axe. It's so easy to do those, especially if your opponent's dragging a lot. And maybe Volley just realizing, you can see that Tedo's doing a lot of drags. He's not doing that many axels, and he's going for a lot of drags and drag feints. Volley clearly getting the read on that and realizing he can maybe take a chance with a gamble. Another attempt at the sort of reverse, almost sort of side hit there. You can see him just angling around the right side of Tedo. Ooh, a nice drag by Tedo. Volley even tried to ult feint that to catch it, and it still didn't work. Such was the quality of the drag. You're seeing Volley do a lot of same side feints. The trade-off with the one-hander, even though it's faster, it does a bit less damage, can have a bit less range, weapon dependent. Oh, a nice spin and catching Volley out, and that's the weakness of the one-handed weapon. The faster the weapon, the shorter the counter window, which means it makes you easier to get caught out by drags. Now, what you're seeing a lot there is Volley trying to make sure he doesn't get dragged out too easily with the one-hander, is doing a lot of ult feints to extend the window of his counter. That can work quite well, but it does have a few downsides. The main one being that, one, you're too predictable at times because the opponent will know that you're not going to feint your attack after you've feinted in defense. And secondly, it burns more stamina to do that counter feint. So it does mean you're more prone to get stand out. Okay, we'll have a look in a second. Over in the corner, it looks like we have Cripsy Duck against Duma, so we should check with that one out imminently, I think. A nice spin again by Tedo, a light spin as well, so an even better job of disguising the spin without the sort of heavy voice sound effect. Tedo going for a big toe drag there, Volley parrying it very well. So Volley, another spin, and that seems to be the play, and Volley actually going for what looked like a jab, and it got skipped by a good Axel by Tedo. It seems like those spins are actually the play for Tedo, sort of kind of doing a very good job of extending the length of the swing that way to catch out Volley's counters, and Volley not quite getting the read. Again, a well-placed spin is very easy to disguise as an Axel. Ah. Does it look like Duma and Cripsy are already done?
No. Duma is fighting late. It's MK.
Oh, he's fighting MK. Okay,
yes,
I saw Duma on the wall.
I've given you misinformation, and now you are also confused.
I'm confused when I play this game. I'm confused when I watch this game. It's just how we are, I think. Of course, the draw is available to our viewers. Say the draws are publicly available, so you can also keep up with it in real time. So you can also see how your favorite players are doing, even if they're not being viewed on stream.
And if you don't have a favorite player, just pick a name that you really like. They're probably really good at the game.
Yes, to say there are no bad players in this draw because they all. Oh, a nice riposte stab that came out lightning quick, and say Tedo not getting the read on that. Very good win by Volley. He was very close fight and clutch finish there. Volley not giving his opponents an easy ride, even if he doesn't get through. It looks like he might take this one too, but he's taken both his opponents down to 4-3, so showing his class, Fake going toe-to-toe with some of the best players in the game, and, you know, potentially able to cause, you know, either give them run for their money or to beat them. I can speak from experience when I say that Volley is one of the best duelists that I know.
Opening kick!
Opening kick. Not common, I'd say, in tournaments. You'll see it occasionally in duels, where people want to go for more aggressive opening, but, say, not afraid to start coming out the gate there. If an opponent is a bit too sort of happy to hold their block with their ripostes, it can be quite effective to sort of keep them honest and not just sort of hold that block too early. It's a good way to punish it. And Volley obviously able to, he's got that large shield, and it broke already, so clearly he was riposting quite a lot there, so Tedo clearly trying to exploit that a little bit. Volley got to be quite careful here. Oh, overhead drag by Volley, and it looks like we're at another 4-all nail-biter match. Okay, let's see how this one ends. Oh, is Volley going for a reset here? I wonder. Is he going to go for a last-minute change? Maybe just do one final mix-up. Oh, and he goes for the Warhammer. Interesting. Very smart play. And if my understanding is correct, Azuzo, I gather that Tedo prefers fighting two-handers than one-handers. So this may be a bit of a...
Yes. Even I, in some occasions, can beat Tedo using this specific loadout. I expect Volley to use overheads quite a lot.
Yeah. The overhead with the Warhammer extremely quick, and if you look at the floor, if you close the space and look at the floor, the range may be short, but the overhead comes out lightning fast. And more importantly, the Warhammer is one of the hardest hitting one-handed weapons in the whole game, especially on a knight as it does blood damage. I believe a regular overhead does 75 damage, almost two-shotting a knight. So Tedo's got to be super careful here, and Volley being very patient, letting the shield do the work, realizing that, he doesn't want to fall for those drags, just happy to riposte some attacks to make sure that he doesn't get caught out by that. And the heavy shield, having nearly 400 to 500 health, gets broken, doesn't get punished for it though, which Volley will be very happy about. Volley went for a jab and it got punished by an Axel by Tedo, so not able to get that in time. I think Volley's being very patient here. He's sort of realizing that Tedo is trying to play the stand
really
game.
popping off, that's all I'm saying.
Oh, and a couple of big drags, and really well played there. So unlucky by Volley. He had the right idea, I think, but again, those drags just catching him out, and clearly the one-hander with its shorter counter window just causing some problems there, but say very, very, very close. That may be 5-4, I believe. That is it. So well played to Tedo, getting through, and Volley, say he may not have progressed, but I think he's proven to everyone that he's an outstanding player, facing some of the best players in EU and nearly beating the both of them, 4-3 up against 2 players. So really well played by him.
MK's back on his main account. Thank you, Modarian.
He is indeed. He's now got the fancy tournament, Agatha tournament champion armor. What I think we know him best for. So, this is Cripsy Duck, who, like I said before, is the defending champion and got a wild card to the final by virtue of his performance in the last Trial by Blood last year. So, Cripsy, I think I've heard people say he is the fastest Axels in EU. He's a one-handed, he's a longsword specialist. Oh, a nice kick though by MK. Cripsy plays at the highest tempo that's possible. He will do, as you can see, extremely fast Axels. He'll basically condition his opponent to play at a tempo they're not comfortable at, and almost just sort of overwhelm them with his speed. Nice drag though by MK, and again that heavy mace doing huge damage on the knight. What he'll often do is he'll condition people with Axels, make them counter earlier and earlier and earlier so they don't get stammed out. And then at the last minute, will often throw in a huge spin with the longsword that's very well disguised as an Axel. That's one of his common strategies. But more often than not, he often plays so fast his opponents just can't keep up. And there's an example of what I'm talking about. See, after a number of Axels, throwing in a really, really good spin that completely catches MK and another Axel overhead to finish him. That was a really good comeback there by Cripsy. He was on the ropes, but he used his sort of signature moves there to get the win. The thing that he'll have to be careful, though, is the stamina game. Because both weapons, the longsword is slightly faster with a slightly better neutral, but the heavy mace does more damage to a knight and has a lot more stamina damage as well. So even though he has some advantages he can make use of having the faster weapon, if he's not really sharp with his counters, he will get stammed out. And MK can exploit this. Ooh, Cripsy trying to dodge the overhead. I do wonder if he went for a jump, but accidentally went for a dodge instead. MK doing a very good job of dragging it and catching him in the ankles. You will see Cripsy often try and jump overhead heavies. Oh, a nice light drag again by MK. And oh wow, that was really, really good. Just catching him with a few big hits and almost catching Cripsy so off balance. He almost didn't guard the last attack, and really well played. So like I said, it's almost like the ballet dancer against the in terms of like weapon matchup. It's almost like the ballet dancer, the Muhammad Ali against the say the George Foreman, so to speak. One is a big heavy bruiser with a huge weapon, a lot of big drags. One is very agile, sort of very fast attacks. It's like a good contrast to play styles here. But so Cripsy can dance around him all he likes, but he's got to be very good in his defense, because 3 hits and he's dead. You can see MK going for a feinter jab there. Cripsy will often buffer his guard after hitting someone's parry, so feinter jab often doesn't work all the time against him, but it can make him susceptible to kicks at times, I found, which is something that MK's already tried to use once with success, so let's see if he tries it again. See how Cripsy's looking at the floor? That's one way of speeding up the speed of your slash XLs especially, and your overheads. If you crouch into it, it almost speeds up the animation and makes it come out even faster. Going for a kick, MK swinging through it, couldn't get the punish. See, MK going for those feinter jabs, trying to keep Cripsy honest, realizing that maybe he needs to counter a bit more if his stam's getting low, but Cripsy's still doing a really good job of not getting caught out by that. Oh, went for a big overhead drag, but MK just catching it at the end of his counter window. No one getting a hit in yet. Oh, and a nice jump. And even though MK gets his guard up, he still gets disarmed. And that was that jump we were talking about, where if Cripsy sees that you're going for heavy overheads, he will try and catch it with a jump. Now MK with the one-hander, still not afraid to do some nice light drags with that, and able to light drag his opponent. Oh, getting the gamble back, though, by Cripsy, that was really nice. Oh, and a nice overhead Axel. MK going for some jabs, but the longsword is so fast that it's quite easy to beat out a jab game if you know your Axels. 2-1 to Cripsy. And again, I think if anyone had any doubts about whether or not Cripsy's still in form after winning the last tournament, I think this is putting people's doubts to rest. He is playing extremely well. More light drags from MK. Oh, I think MK's having a bit of a desync moment.
Yes, this is the moment to stab your opponent in the back.
Yes, I think they might offer, potentially they offered a reset last time this happened where MK just completely desynced. What happens from his perspective, I've learned, is that he literally cannot see the animation of his opponent. I guess they're just deciding, you know, they're calling the fight and just continuing as they are. MK getting a bit of his health back, but a bit unfortunate for him that he took some early hits there that were a bit outside his control. Probably just means their hits to kill are about the same now, to be honest. I've been told, Jizuzo, and I've not tried this myself, but one reason that... oh, nice light drag there by MK. One benefit of light drags with the heavy mace is you actually get more stamina back. I needed to test this myself, but apparently that's one reason why players like to do it. So you're seeing a lot of, you know, the general rule is you want to condition opponents with Axels, but you see MK doing a lot of light drags, which you say you wouldn't expect, but maybe that's a way of keeping his stamina up if that's actually the case. Interestingly, though, even though on paper MK has the stam advantage with the loadout, it's actually been Cripsy who's managed to win the stam wars so far, so Cripsy doing a really good job of reading those. Oh, going for the special, and that special with the one-handed swords comes out so quickly, and MK not risking getting caught out by trying to react. Oh, but a nice move there. That I think it almost was a side hit where he crouched and sort of, you could see him crouch and move around the right side to kind of get around the side of his guard, and I think he caught him out with that overhead. Really good stuff.
I must repent.
Mondarian says sack number 1. I will leave the viewers to debate that. No comment from me.
Yeah, I'm going to shut my mouth as well.
Yeah, we're impartial, Jizuzo. We're impartial. Everyone knows this. We are totally not biased.
We're impartial for the duels, but not for clan politics. But that's not the reason why we're here.
True, true. We can all debate it over a beer or something after the tournament. Don't get me wrong, though. Like, clans are fantastic, and every clan has something slightly different to offer, and they're all great. If you are ever interested in joining one, if you want to get into comp or just make some new friends, I would fully encourage anyone who's into Chivalry to join a clan. A lot of them will accept you no matter how long you've been playing, and we'll do a very good job of training you up as well to try and become competitive. So do feel free to check out clans. We all have our Discord channels, and they're a very good addition to the community. Cripsy getting some good hits here, and MK already quite low. So using that nice mix-up actually with Axels and drags by Cripsy Dog. The longsword's inherently quite fast and quite hard to drag with, but using those spins and good swing manip, he's able to still catch MK out. And another attempt at a spin. MK got the read on that one though, so well played by him. Not falling for that one again. Ooh, didn't quite get the read on that counter, I don't think. And then another light special to follow up. Cripsy, I think, trying to counter that, and he's very low on health. And we all know that MK loves his feint to jab, so Cripsy has to be super careful because I think he is one jab from death. MK won't want to hang around too long, though. I think if you're out of combat too long, Cripsy will get some health back. So I think MK want to keep up the pressure. Both players maybe just reset and get their stand back, but MK knows that. Yeah, there it is. Oh, he just caught him with the kick, sort of dragging that stab in really well. And now they're both basically all but dead. So Who can land? And Cripsy getting a bit of regen. Oh, and then he gets the kick, and Cripsy does the dodge. Maybe almost got away with it, but MK doing a really good job of following it through with his slash and just about catching it. Wow, this fight is getting pretty tense, and we're 3-2.
All right, maybe Sack might be the best clan, but we don't know.
Well,
we don't know yet.
BKM, Cripsy Duck, and Sack MK, to be fair, are two of the best players in two of the best clans. So, one, I'm not surprised it's quite close, and secondly, I'm not surprised that they're very good because, let's say, I don't think there's any shame in whoever doesn't win this one because I think about 99.99999% of players could never even land a single kill on these guys. It speaks to their abilities that they're giving each other such a good fight. Let's say Jisuzu and I do love our odd duel occasionally and even the odd competition, but these guys, I'm going to be blunt. Oh, a nice disarm there. Oh, so clever by MK. He realized at the last second, I think, that he couldn't quite punish the disarm, follows it up and realizes that his opponent would panic parry to avoid a follow-up and just kicks him instead. That was a confident move. That's the sign of a confident player, reading his opponent so well, knowing exactly what he was doing. 4-2. But yeah, say the both of us, we do love our comp play, but I will just say I faced MK earlier this week in the Juilliard, and I literally got farmed. I could not land a hit on the guy. He is unbelievably tough, and Cripsy as well. Like often he kills me before I can blink. So I say like. It's almost misleading seeing two really good players face each other at just how good their attack is. They make defending each other's assaults look easy, but I can assure you against even a lot of the best players, they will completely destroy the average player. They are unbelievably good.
Hey, that Sack guy just went for a Sack spin.
That was well, interesting enough, I think it might have... It looked like he went for a spin, didn't he? But it actually ended up being an Axel, which is a very clever move. So often players will do spins disguised as Axels, but an Axel disguised as a spin move because it means the opponent may be expecting the spin, doesn't quite counter in time, and it's a good way of getting a forced riposte. Oh, MK trying to walk away and getting punished really hard. 3 stabs there, and he threw away a lot of health there, completely misjudging the distance. That longsword stab is incredibly long. And MK goes from being quite advantaged in this fight to being nearly, both of them being very low health. Oh, and a light drag from MK, and he catches out Cripsy's counter, and I think that is the win for MK. Really well played. Really kept his composure after maybe, so most players probably would have been a bit flustered from getting 3 stabs hit on them, but MK kept his cool and got that one final hit. MK wins 5-2. So potentially, one could argue another upset, the defending champion being beaten. But again, we already knew MK was really good, and his performance in the finals of in the qualifier 3 was exemplary. So again, not hanging around. Looks like we've got Kraz against Tedo. Kraz going for the cudgel. That makes it the second cudgel. Oh, and he finishes him with a jab. Cudgel meta, anyone? Question mark. Cudgel, like I said, generally considered the worst weapon in all of Chivalry 2, and we've seen 2 players use it, and it looks like Kraz is actually winning, so using it with great effect. Let's just see if I can get hold of one of these players. Okay, here's Tedo. 4-3 down, so again, Tedo needs to win this fight because he's in the loser's bracket, he's out. Kraz and Tedo both say, like... I happen to know play together a lot, so they know each other's playstyles very well. And another good example of reading those drags by Tedo and gambling a jab. We saw Volley do it quite well earlier, and Kraz got the same idea, obviously. Nice overhead by Tedo. The problem with the cudgel, it's very, very fast. Very good for gambles, and of course the ambusher has some throwing knives as well to punish any whiffs at range. Oh, nice combo by Tedo. But what you just saw there is the fact that the damage on the cudgel is very, very low, so for all its speed, you need to land about 4 or 5 hits to kill someone. And on the other hand, you've got the Messer on the Knight. Against the Vanguard, 2 light overheads is enough to kill a Vanguard. So even though you have sort of maybe more maneuverability, a bit more speed with the cudgel, you're playing with fire because the hits to kill are really, really low. And again, another slash taking nearly half of Kraz health. Seeing Kraz go for a lot of jabs, he needs to be careful to land those, otherwise he's going to get stammed out. See Tedo again going for drags, maybe realizing that the cudgel with its really slow counter window being such a fast weapon is quite susceptible to being dragged. Ooh, and he went for the throwing knife, but he countered it, which meant that Kraz couldn't seem to get his defense up in time, and another slash, and that's Tedo takes it 5-4. Very, very close fight.
And that's perfect timing, because Crispy and Gingy are starting now.
Wow, man, Crispy can't catch a breather. He goes straight from facing MK straight to the loser's bracket and faces Gingy, who was up against, I think the last time we saw him, he was up against Wandy. And looks like we're going for 2 one-handers, which again is interesting. Gingy doing what he does so well, forcing opponents to play on his terms, using that one-hander. Good use of throwing knives there by Cripsy, really punishing him. So Cripsy, again, this is, even though they're using same loadouts, ooh, and a kick punish, and there's a really big risk when you try and kick a one-handed weapon, because often if you do, and the opponent swings through it even out of a counter, you can't get your guard up in time because the attack is so quick. So even though they're using the same loadout, we'll see different playstyles, because Cripsy does like the sort of high tempo sort of counter battles, trying to really like sort of almost overwhelm his opponent with speed. Gingy likes to take the pace off. He isn't afraid to reset, go for neutral gambles, play a much more off-tempo rhythm to make opponents uncomfortable.
Like for some reason, right, I have the feeling that people are just using the Warhammer and the big shield as like the last-ditch effort when they're really desperate.
Yeah, we have seen that at least twice now, I believe. I mean, it is a meta weapon. It's very, very good. Like I said, it's got a huge amount of damage for the amount of speed it does. But a good kick by Cripsy. And again, just using that example, just an absolute barrage of offense there. And Gingy just completely overwhelmed almost. And a good kick to finish. Kicks are very effective if you have a one-handed weapon, because you need to put your parry up so much quicker. It makes you more susceptible to kicks.
In his name.
I don't think the Warhammer will work against Crispy, since he's able to basically counter everything that's being thrown at him.
Well, we've talked about this before, haven't we? Where, like, weapon matchups do not matter if you cannot hit your opponent, because you're doing 0 damage. But, at the same time, 2 heavy overheads from a Warhammer are enough to kill a knight. So, just even the psychological element of knowing that you cannot afford to be hit. And that shield...
For me, it's more the stamina damage that the Warhammer can get into you really fast. That makes it, in my opinion, a very good
nice
weapon.
Drag there by Gingy, and you can see Cripsy over half health. I agree. The Warhammer's, being blunt, combined with that huge base damage means it does a huge amount of stam damage. And say, like, almost like how MK... Oh, and Gingy getting stammed out there. I think maybe trying to force the neutral game, but he can't make the space. And Cripsy realizing that his opponent's pausing too much, just starts swinging away. And Gingy can't really slow the tempo at all, and getting, again, overwhelmed by the barrage of offense. Cripsy, yeah, like you say, will need to counter a lot of attacks to not get stammed out, especially on a knight. But, say, if you land more attacks than your opponent, you'll get stammed back for every attack you land. And so far, even though Gingy has a shield, Cripsy with that axe is just chewing his way through it. It's a feature of Cripsy which, again, I noticed where you can try and play off-tempo against him to try and slow down the tempo, but if he sees you doing that, he's very good at forcing the tempo back up by using gambles and using jabs. And again, a mix of jab, gambles, and kicks, and his opponent trying to slow the tempo, I think, but just really not able to hold Cripsy off, and he has to be very careful here. He's getting a little overwhelmed here. Really well played by Cripsy. But yeah, Cripsy, in the same way Gingy forces you to play on his terms, Cripsy will do the same, except he'll up the tempo instead of slowing it down. Can Gingy adapt? Oh, and they both went for the neutral attack, but the axe a little bit faster, and Cripsy really axelled it and got the first hit. You can see Gingy going more for some sort of ult heavies. Maybe trying to drag it a little bit. Oh, a nice overhead though, and he gets 2 in a row. Probably jab skipping there when his opponent tried to jab. Ooh, didn't quite get the punish on disarming the shield though, even though he's done a really good job of breaking it recently. Going for the throwing knives. Maybe trying to get his opponent's health down quickly if he can, but he has to be careful because he is definitely a hit from death. Gingy going for the special, but not quite in range. Oh, and he goes for that neutral overhead that Gingy does so well. He almost just waits until he sort of judges. He almost senses the opponent is a split second from attacking and goes, nope, I'm attacking first, and beats you out. So a good win there by Gingy, but is it enough? Is it the start of a comeback, or is it too little too late? We'll see.
Positively,
Our Lord agrees.
Well, if Gingy does win, it's gonna be the best comeback that I'll ever see.
Yeah, it'll be the biggest comeback we've ever seen, I think, in EU Trial by Blood. Oh, going for the neutral. It's almost like a lottery when they both go for it. They both not bothering to guard. They just go, nope, we're both going to do overheads at the start of the fight. Whoever lands it first gets the hit, so be it. Gingy doing a lot of ripostes, as you can see, sort of maybe just trying to use the shield to its fullest advantage, but as you can see, it's getting quite heavily damaged. Ooh, a nice retaliation, though, by Gingy. Both players super cautious. Both throwing everything they have left. Oh, and Cripsy almost punishing the whiff, but Gingy doing a really good job of ducking that. As you can see there, Gingy trying to go for, trying to delay his attack a bit to make Cripsy awkward, but Cripsy kind of sensing it, going for the jab, not letting it happen. Oh, and he disarms him, and he's low on health, and he follows it up, and that's a win by Cripsy Duck. Super aggressive, really well played, and a really good example of how you can really sort of force the opponent to play at a tempo you're not comfortable with. So, Jizuzo.
Yes.
Where, for the benefit of the viewers and frankly myself, are we in the draw so far?
Well, currently we are going to the winners semi-final and the
Winners semis.
losers. And losers round 3.
Okay. Ah, looks like we're ready to go with Warbeast and Wandy. So this may be a bit of deja vu for people who watch Trial by Blood 1, because these two faced each other in the losers bracket in number 1, and they had an eccentric match. I think that's probably the best way to put it. Most people, when they see Warbeast tackle, will try and just get ready to brace for it. Wandy tends to just tackle him back if he is a knight as well. So expect a lot of tackle collisions if they both use knight. Expect a lot of jabs, a lot of very unorthodox plays. And expect a lot of emote taunting as well. But yeah, if you thought you saw Warbeast tackling a lot, you haven't seen anything yet. So, Wandy, as we've already mentioned, the Wandy Wall, one of the best defensive players in the game, is almost unbeatable to nearly anyone when it comes to just doing a standard sort of back and forth exchange in duels. And Warbeast knows this, and Warbeast, when I've seen him fight Wandy, will often try and go for some more unusual tactics to try and not sort of play it to Wandy's strengths too much and play more to his own, using his sort of knowledge of all the different technical aspects of the game. So you'll see Warbeast mix it up a lot. He'll go for he'll retreat a lot to neutral, he'll do a lot of tackles, mix in a lot of jabs, and already we've seen pretty much all of that so far. Probably won't see the trademark bare fists, which he qualified with this time. I say that, but you never know. Oh, Warbeast went for that sort of reset, trying to walk away like we talked about before, but Wandy with the Devastator class, the class that has no... Oh, and a nice kick, though, by Warbeast. And now they're pretty much even.
Yeah, and Wandy is really enjoying that.
Oh, and they went for the collision. And I think it was a matter of frames, because Warbeast collided with the tackle just before Wandy's sprint attack landed. So, we were talking about that before, and I don't know if that's played into Wandy's strategy, where often you'll see Warbeast run away either to reset or get the tackle, and Wandy caught him, and the reason Wandy caught him, another... Oh, and he actually punishes him. Oh, and there's another example. So what you see there is Wandy's with them all on the Devastator class. The Devastator class has the fastest acceleration forward of any class in the game. Partly because it's a Vanguard, but also because it has no movement speed penalty with heavy weapons. Which means that if Warbeast runs away, it's actually quite easy for Wandy to catch him, because he has the inherently faster class. Going for one of those look-down specials, Wandy deciding he just has to stand to tank it. Nice slash drag, though, and then Warbeast actually realizing he has the space to run away again, resets the neutral, winding up another tackle, I'm pretty sure. Yep, there it is. So Warbeast will kite you with the threat of the tackle, and sometimes try and bait a whiff, and then try and punish that whiff with the regular attack as well. So it's not just the tackle, he keeps it mixed up and unpredictable as well. But Warbeast often resetting, I think, as well to regen Stam, because, oh, and a nice overhead there. They sort of both were playing at neutral there, and again, that mess of damage on the Vanguard, super, super punishing. The problem with facing a Maul, especially as a Knight, is the Stam drain on the Maul is so high. It's almost higher, I think it's higher than any other weapon in the game. What that means is you have to counter more attacks to not get stammed out, and being forced in that counter rally is really not what Warbeast wants against Wandy. So again, you can see that's why he's kind of not going for that orthodox playstyle. Trying a couple of kicks.
2 beautiful kicks in. Maybe he's going to kick Wandy to death.
Well, I think that you only need, okay, a Vanguard, well, you need a lowly 26 kicks, I think, to kill a Vanguard, so he's got a while to go if that's his strat.
Warbeast can do it. But
2
not
huge
like
hits,
this.
though. Not like that, because you only
Not
need
like
3 with a Maul, so...
Why is
Wandy
it
with a
every
naughty
time
one.
I say something positive about these players that they get killed, like, seconds after?
The reason, Jesuzo, is because they're listening and they want to prove you wrong. They'd rather die than prove you right.
Do you have my €5 ready, by the way? Because we made a bet last season on who was going to win.
Did we? Oh
Yes.
dear. Who did I bet was going to win?
You said anyone other than Doomer.
I did not say that. I think you're having...
You said Wandy. You said Wandy. You said Wandy.
Oh, did I? Did I say Wandy? Okay, well,
Yes.
clearly we had some discussions. Totally impartial discussions over who we thought was going to win this draw. I did definitely say that Wandy was one of the favourites. But I think people who've seen how Doom has been playing so far, I feel like it would be risky of me to bet against Doomer in the form he's in. But if there's anyone who can beat Doomer, Wandy is one of the best people at reading offensive playstyles in the game, and Doomer's very aggressive, so maybe...
So are you saying that if Warbeast eliminates Wandy, that might actually be a bad thing?
Well, I don't know. Warbeast is another player who can beat anyone, and isn't gonna fall into like the traps of other players. Oh, a huge drag though by Wandy. Maybe Warbeast slow on Stam and going for the counter, but either way, taking his head clean off. Look at that.
He's starting to believe, Swooshy. He's starting to believe in himself.
He is. I mean, so for those who didn't watch the previous Trial by Blood, Warbeast actually won their playoff match, so he knows how to beat Wandy. Like I said, Wandy is almost like the ultimate skill check in this game. He will always play unbelievably well. You know exactly how he's going to play, but unless you have a certain level of skill, you pretty much cannot beat the guy. At least I can't. So Warbeast has that capability. He's one of the most, if not the most experienced duelists in all of EU, and maybe nearly all of Chivalry. I've been told he has something like 2,000 hours in duels. So he knows how to do the job, but when it comes to Wandy, it's not just game plan, it's execution. Again, resetting to neutral, maybe getting a bit of stamina back. Wandy's saying, nope, I'm just going to follow you and hunt you down and put the pressure on you. And Warbeast's doing something that we saw from Gingy a lot, where the Maul being quite slow is quite hard to gamble with, and Warbeast almost pausing between his attacks, doing very, very delayed ripostes. And that has two sort of... The main advantage for that, really, I'd say, is more of a rhythm thing, where it kind of throws your opponent off guard. You sort of, if you attack straight away after riposting or countering, you pretty much have a very good gauge of when the attack's going to land, but by attacking at very sort of off-sync tempos and then mixing in big drags and a mix of different speeds of swing, it's a very good way of throwing an opponent off that rhythm. And we all know that Wandy, oh, but a really nice slash there, axelled that, crouched into it, and the strategy didn't quite work there. Warbeast is clearly trying to mess with Wandy's rhythm. But Wandy, man, what can you say? You can throw everything at him and he just almost downloads your playstyle. Alex says the longsword against Maul is a good matchup if you play aggressively. This is true. I mean, the longsword is really quick, so it's good with the gambles, and also upping the tempo as well. Again, the biggest weaknesses of the Maul are the range and the speed, so you're a bit more limited in kind of the moves you can do in that respect. more susceptible to being gambled by faster weapons, especially. We'll be switching to the heavy mace. This is interesting, because what he's traded here is he's sacrificed a bit of damage, as the Vanguard doesn't take blunt damage, but he has, number one, given himself more stam damage, but number two, with that buff from the... Oh, a nice slash drag. That hung in the air for ages. With that buff, with the heavy mace, with the reduced stam consumption on block, means that he isn't as prone to being stammed out by the Maul's huge stam drain. So maybe he was getting stammed out too quickly and being forced to counter more than he'd like and going for the heavy mace as a result. But I say that, and apparently it wasn't enough, because Wandy actually disarms Warbeast. Maybe Warbeast cost himself a bit too much stam by missing the jab there, and yeah, interesting mix-up, but it didn't quite work. And Wandy pulling away from 2-all here. Starting to run away with this one, so Warbeast needs to regain the momentum, so to speak, if he wants to keep this one alive. Will Wandy avenge his loss to Warbeast in the previous trial by blood? We will see. It's starting to head that way. And Warbeast, oh dear, and that was almost a like a karma for last time, where Warbeast got the tackle and it beat out the sprint attack by Wandy, but this time Wandy gets the huge sprint attack, 120 damage on the knight with that thing. That was not a trade that Warbeast would want to take, and Wandy judged that attack to perfection. Now Warbeast has to be so careful. Pretty much any attack from the Maul is going to kill him, even a stab. And that's one jab, 3 more, and I think that'll be GG. So Warbeast on the ropes, so to speak. Oh, and a feinted jab. And now I think it's 1 jab away, and there it is. There's another slash axle. He's done a really good job of catching Warbeast out with those, and that's a clean 90-odd damage to finish him off. And really well played by Wandy. Composed himself really well against a very, very awkward playstyle in Warbeast. If we have a quick check, we can cast the tail end of this match too, and this is Tedo against Luke Dane. So the defending runner-up from the last trial by blood against Tedo, who's been in very fine form so far. Tedo with a good finish there with some slashes, and that's 1-0. Duma and MK are coming up, so we'll switch to that when we can.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye out. I'll keep an eye out. Don't worry.
Thank you, Jizuzo. Much obliged.
But at the same time, you can see that Tedo suddenly popped off. Was this his tactic all along, pretending to be really bad at the game?
I would say better...
Losing on purpose?
Well, if you're tanking early to throw your opponents off, better to turn it on later than never, especially in the finals of Trial by Blood when you're coming out the loser's bracket. Mr. Gamble by Luke Dane, but Tedo keeping his guard up, so not quite working. But a nice kick there. Get a good free hit there. I won't pretend I was expecting Luke Dane to use the cudgel quite as much as he has. It seems that Tedo can't get away from the cudgel matchup in this Trial by Blood, but again, the problem is the damage differential between the two weapons is so high.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I recently have been using the Messer as well, and sometimes I'm just surprised at how fast you can kill Vanguards with it.
Well, that's it, isn't it? It has the same light overhead damage as a Greatsword, and even higher slash damage. It has higher slash damage than the Highland Sword, and the same light overhead damage. It does huge damage. Pretty much up there with the highest slash weapons in the game. Highest damaging slash weapons in the game. And it's faster than all of them too, so... a really strong all-rounder weapon. It's been meta since the start of the game for a reason.
Wait, what? Why has nobody nerfed this thing yet?
It has been nerfed. That's the crazy thing. I think it's had at least 2 nerfs. One to the stab animation and damage, and one to the slash animation. Just to make it a bit easier to read, but even then, it's still out on top. I gather it's been meta since the days of Chivalry 1, so clearly a favourite of Torn Banner in their weapon selection. Again, Tedo going for those light drags, maybe realising that the cudgel with its short window is susceptible to being dragged. Luke doing a very good job of getting the read, though, with the counters. Okay, it looks like MK Doom is starting up.
Yeah.
So let's just quickly head. We don't want to miss a second of this. And it looks like... okay, this is quite funny. MK in a tribute maybe to his opponent, dressing exactly like his opponent. So these two have pretty similar playstyles. They both use the heavy mace, obviously. They both really like using their chain jabs, chain feint the jabs, chain attack counter the jabs, and the odd spin here and there to mix with the opponent's counters. And there's another spin there that we know that they both can do so well. So, a nice feint to stab by, I believe that was MK. I'm going to have to try and keep an eye on who's who, because, to be honest, with the similarity between these two players, it's going to get a bit confusing at times. But I think those really flashy... Oh, wow! That was an amazing combination of spins, and Duma, whose defense is so good, actually getting caught out by two of them, and another jab to finish.
Damn!
Yeah.
I did not see that coming.
Duma, as we've talked about, is one of the best players in EU and potentially one of the favorites of the final, but MK, yeah, the guy, as we've seen already, is an absolute machine, and
just shows you that this tournament can go any way.
Absolutely. Okay, here's our differential. They have different mace skins, Jizuzo. That'll be our way of telling them apart. That's a light drag there, and getting an early hit there. Trying to go for a kick, nice Axel, and there's that classic Duma move where he gets a hit and then goes immediately for a feint to jab, expecting the opponent to try and maybe panic counter. A jab though by MK. Oh, and a nice attempt at a Mr. Gamble. Duma very patient to keep his guard up and not fall for that, but MK landing another slash and and we saw that one coming. Oh, and what a combination spin! Jab skip, yeah.
Double spin!
A heavy slash spin, and then doing what Duma does so well, where he almost crouches and walks away to make sure that the opponent's jab doesn't land, and then following it up with a really nice spin as well for good measure. A really flashy 1-2 combination.
One of the viewers is asking what a jab skip is.
Oh, okay, yes. So basically,
you skip a jab?
In short, yes, but to be more precise, the standard play, as they'll teach you in the tutorial, for instance, is if you take a hit, if you want to steal back initiative, you can jab the opponent, because the jab is such a fast attack. However, there are ways that you can prevent, after landing a hit on the opponent, there are ways of preventing the opponent from jabbing you back, and you can either do that by, one, using certain combinations of attacks that are so quick they can't get the jab in time, or secondly, using spacing by moving away from the jab so that their jab misses. So Duma used the latter there, where he actually moved away from the jab because the jab's quite short. And good read by MK, knowing that Duma was going to go for two jabs in a row there, and actually using his own jab to steal back initiative. Didn't quite work there, though, because Duma actually got the jab second. We'll see a lot of jab collisions from these two, because they both jab quite a lot. But yes, a jab skip is basically a way of escaping the opponent's jab to land a second hit and punishing the whiff jab. Or beating it out in terms of sheer speed, which is very easy with very fast weapons. Attempted a kick, not quite working. Duma very hard to land kicks on. Oh, MK with a very close dodge there. The heavy mace of his opponent whiffing, like almost cutting his hair off there. Oh, going for a big drag there. Duma still getting a read on it. You see how Duma, we've seen this quite a lot as well. If the opponent's dragging, if you walk into their swing, it actually shortens the time of the swing and makes it harder for you to be dragged. And if you drag yourself, if you walk away from it, almost fade away from the opponent, it actually prolongs the speed of your swing. So using good footwork there to aid the swing manipulation. Ooh. Okay, and he went for the third one.
Didn't land.
Yeah. No, I think MK realizing that he was getting caught in a jab battle there and trying to get out of it. And there's an example of that jab skip we talked about, realizing that Duma might try and jab him back after landing a jab of his own and walking away. Duma very patient, though, and not actually getting baited into that. And we're back into a standard counter rally. You can see they're both doing a very good job of contrasting the axles with the drags. Oh, and a big slash axle there, catching Duma on the head. And by contrasting the speed of your swings, which the heavy mace does so well, by mixing fast and slow attacks, it messes with the opponent's ability to counter. Oh, and he went for a nice spin there, but MK doing an alt feint to extend his counter window. But by mixing up the speed of your swings, And by making the opponent miss time their counters, it's a very easy way. Oh, and he gets... Oh, interesting. He actually goes for the jab instead of doing a follow-up attack. Oh, and Duma maybe with a new lease of life, but MK hitting him with another drag, and a really, really good fight there. That went on for quite some time with all kinds of techs, and in the end, MK comes out on top. Blink it and you'll miss it, viewers. 2-1. And we knew this would happen, where as we get into the finals and everyone is really, really good at the game, you know, it's... Oh, MK maybe a little greedy there. He went for a 360 special attack, and Duma read it really well, just about managing to beat it out with his own overhead. Very flashy, though. Clearly not afraid to try some risky plays. But yeah, as I was saying, as the players get at this level of gameplay, and not even though their attacks are so good, they're so good defensively that they have to really throw everything at each other just to get the hits in. Some nice hits though by Duma. Maybe MK being a little bit too aggressive with that special attack and putting himself on the back foot. Yeah, Duma going for those jabs. MK doing a very good job of reading those chain jabs though, and just being patient, keeping his guard up, knowing that if he blocks the jab, he'll get his initiative back at minimal cost. Oh, Duma, he went for 2 jabs himself, but Duma maybe sort of coming, actually just gambled the swing, hoping to just get a free hit in, and MK catching his card at the last minute. Oh, and then he goes for the stab, and I think Duma might have gambled him out there with a really fast slash,
Yes.
just about catching him. Really, really well timed there. Say, like, realizing his opponent's low on health, maybe throwing in one too many drags or feints, and just going, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. Really fast combos with those slashes by Duma and getting a nice gamble in there, and 2-all. Interesting heavy stab by MK. Don't know if he just wanted to... Oh, interesting feint to jab there. Managed to land with it. And he's really going for the feint to jabs now. He does the same as Duma's been doing, trying to chain them together. And again, Duma knowing that sort of gameplay quite well, as they're both so similar. Nice drag, though, by Duma. These two have done a very good job of dealing with each other's jabs, which is something that their opponents have been struggling so hard with. But they both understand that sort of infighting kind of... jab gameplay so well. And yeah, so Duma doing a really good job there following up with the punish. I think he might have even comboed into a counter just to speed up his attack even more, make sure that his opponent can't get away.
But MK is the one that murdered Duma.
It was MK, sorry. Everything I just said applies to MK, not Duma. That was MK who did all that. And this is what happens, viewers, when you have 2 players who wear the exact same outfit and the same weapon. I hope you'll forgive the odd bit of confusion. But yes, MK there with the disarm, not Duma. And I think that may have been the result of maybe at least Duma being a slightly overzealous with the jabs. Because again, jabs cost a lot of stamina. They're a very effective tool. They're really fast, and they're very good at throwing off the opponent and interrupting their attacks. But if you don't land enough of them, they cost a lot of stam to actually use. And if you're overzealous, you will often find yourself out of stamina. Against something like a heavy mace with a lot of stam damage. Oh, that was a really good Axel by Duma there. Almost looked like a spin, but oh wow, and that was really quick, and Duma getting his revenge quickly there. A good combination of just standard hits.
Come on.
Yes, what is he doing? I wonder if he's doing another sort of reset on his technical issues. While he's doing that, let's just have a quick peek at what's going on here. Looks like got Astro against Warbeast. Astro with the Highland Sword. I think this is a first in Trial by Blood 2. Very popular in Trial by Blood 1, because at the time the Highland Sword hadn't been nerfed anywhere near as heavily as it is now. The weapon speed and damage has been slowed down considerably since that update, but I've seen Astro use this one quite a lot in the Juilliard, and it's still a weapon that, if you know how to use it, is extremely dangerous. And Astro very good with this weapon.
Basically, Warbeast finding his first opponent doing these finals.
Well, yes, I say it's an interesting rematch. Maybe. Obviously, Astro went for the mirror match last time with the mess, so maybe just feels like that was not working for him and trying something else. An amazing spacing. That was a really good win by Astro. So will there be revenge on the cards? 2-all. So it looks like we've got 2 very close fights on our hands here. And back to the showpiece match. Oh, a nice spin. MK doing a very good job of actually reading that.
One of them is low on stamina.
They are low on stamina. I'm trying to figure out who. It, again, doesn't... I think they might even have the same voice line, so I guess we'll find out when someone's weapon falls out of their hands. MK backing off, so maybe... Yeah, MK is definitely running away, so it might be MK, because the player who runs away often is the one low on stam, just trying to buy a little bit of time to let that stam regen a little bit, but Duma realizing what's happening, maybe chasing him down. Nice light spin there. You can see now, at first they were really going for a lot of drags in their fight, but maybe realizing they're not falling for it quite as much as they'd like, and they've just really gone all out with the flashy spins and the axels. It's almost like these two... Oh, nice gamble, though, by Duma reading the spin, just about getting his hit in time. It's almost like as these fights have gone on, either they're getting less patient or deciding they just want to show everything they've got, and the moves have become flashier and flashier, which I think is what our viewers love to see. Two duelists at the height of their powers here. Oh, and a simple riposte stab, though, is all that's needed to catch him out, and a good win by Warbeast in the background. And we're at 3-all, so this is getting very, very close again. Ooh. That was a big hit to start with. I don't know if Duma went for an attack as well and got beaten out. But you can see already the heavy base damage, like a third of his HP bar gone in a simple slash axle. So again, these guys are so good defensively, but this weapon does so much damage and the attacks come out so fast that before you know it, a player can be at full health and suddenly they're dead.
Yeah, they're just boinking at each other quite fast.
Yes. The somewhat understated sound of two heavy maces colliding, I must say. It sounds like a spoon being dropped more than two massive clubs of metal hitting each other, but is what it is. MK deciding he doesn't want to get into that trade. Ooh, jumping away to make a tiny bit more clearance with the... To avoid the follow-up and just about avoiding Duma's slash. And Duma quite low on health, so even if he has the stam advantage, he's got to be careful because he's one hit from death. Even if MK gets disarmed, he can still kill him with his secondary. So, oh, a nice axel, though. It's hard to tell from this perspective, but be wary. If you see that either of these players are almost looking to the side behind their opponent as they go for the slash and looking down, they may be trying to do back hits where they're actually... looking behind their opponent's shoulders to hit around their opponent's guard. So there may have been a few instances of that happening, but it's hard to tell at the speed they're playing. Attempted a kick, got punished pretty hard with the drag as a result. And often when players kick, they'll try and counter the next attack because they realize that they've just cost themselves some stam, and it does make them potentially more susceptible to drags, and that's exactly what Duma clocked onto there. Duma regaining a bit of momentum in this fight, getting a few hits back, but again, he's got to be so careful. He is one hit from death, so... Another attempt at a kick, and oh, and he saw it coming. Duma, again, this what we talked about earlier, realizing that when MK goes for a kick, he tries to regen his stam by countering the next attack, and Duma with a huge drag.
I've been monitoring Twitch chat, and apparently, I have to correct Hal, it was 4-3.
Ah.
Not 3-3.
Okay, 4-3 to...
Yeah, but apparently Hal is wrong. But
okay.
They're still going. They're still going.
Okay. I hope that Bubble can hear us. I think he's watching the stream, so if he wants to just alert Hal to that issue, if he can hear it, if you're there, Bubble, if you can hear us, just to make sure that there is no incorrect result at the end of this. These fights have gone on for so long, it wouldn't surprise me if both players have forgotten the score, to be honest. So thank you, channel. Thank you, Twitch chat. You are very on the ball.
What's going on?
Yeah, apparently Dobie said in Twitch chat that it was only 4-3.
Looks like Howl is explaining in the game chat what happened. It looks like they had to rematch around because of a big desync. So looks like we're fine. Bubble, false alarm.
Okay.
Yeah, but please be more panicked.
That'll do. So I believe, is it 4-3 to Duma now? Or am I... So where are we at score-wise, Jizuzo?
Jesus Christ, now I'm completely confused, and as a Dutch person, that's very dangerous. So I'm gonna say,
Duma
if
4.
Duma wins this one, then he
It's
wins.
5. Yes, it's 4-3 to Duma. I've just checked. So
So let's just hope that Duma wins, and we can have it over with.
well, say that, but right now MK's winning this fight, and after again this incredible offense they both have, where they just use every sort of mix-up of every jab and kick and spin and the odd special. They just can't find an answer to each other, and I guess that's what happens when you have two players who play so similarly. You know your opponent's playstyle so well because it's your own. But Duma gets the disarm at the last second, and even though he's a hit from death, he pulls out the win and finishes him off with the follow-up. And
Yes,
I believe that's 5-3.
Duma solved. No, it's technically 6-3, but okay.
Regardless, it looks like Duma won a very, very close fight. Really well played by MK.
Yes, thank you, Duma. I personally thank you for solving this confusion.
Yes. And it looks like in the background we had a bit of a revenge match for Astro, because using that Highland sword, not what one would expect, clearly decided it would be better than the Messer. Paid dividends for him. I think Astro might have actually won. Let's just check. Astro does indeed win.
If everything is correct, we should have Wandy. Why the hell do I keep calling him Woody, like in Toy Story? Wandy versus Duma, and MK versus Honking Hootie Asses, Productions.com.
Which would be Tedo, right? It would be a crime to miss this match, particularly since we've both been hyping it up so much during the qualifiers.
Which match? Oh yeah, Duma. Yeah.
Someone's questioning if they should do a map reset because, as noted, if Duma gets one kill, the map is going to reset. I think they're just going to go for it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
It is
We're gonna have a
fine.
beautiful loading screen.
Yes. 1D with them all. It's quite interesting because it's not something you'd expect to be necessarily meta, but it's worked for him so far, and now he's clearly not just messing around. He clearly thinks it's the way to go against Duma's extremely oppressive playstyle, and maybe that bit of extra stam drain, that stam with the Vanguard, maybe that's what he needs to make sure that he can win the stam game against Duma's mix of jabs.
But that's totally fine. Duma expected this to happen because our vast spy network found out that this was Wandy's tactic all along. So now Duma's gonna pretend that he doesn't know what's going on, and he's gonna get hit a couple of times, and that's all according to his plan. He told me exclusively.
Yeah, so if he knows the weapon's coming, thanks to some good scouting, I don't know if he'd have still wanted to get hit with the Maul Slash, because that thing hurts, as we've seen.
That's all according to plan. Don't worry. He's gonna fix this. Yes.
Well, if you say so, he's disarmed.
Look, it's all according to no.
Okay.
Yeah, he's just pretending to be losing, obviously.
Okay, if you say so. I say again as a reminder, Jizuzo part of the KRT clan, so obviously supporting his charge.
Yes, his plan is to lose now, get into the losers bracket, and then possibly fight another opponent.
Okay.
Maybe.
If that is the plan, if you're adamant that's the plan by Duma, I won't pretend that I think that's exactly what he wants. I think he'd rather beat Wandy as soon as he can, but we will see. So far, Wandy, again with that impervious defense, Duma just couldn't quite get the hit in. And again, it's that question of like, can you get one hit against Wandy in a fight if you play well? Yeah, potentially, maybe even probably, but can you get enough to kill the guy? And for pretty much everyone so far who's faced Wandy, it's proven a completely insurmountable task. Oh, but a very nice overhead drag just pulled it around and ended up catching Wandy in the knees. As you said, Duma, I've spoken to him too, has a game plan for facing Wandy. But as we've already talked about, a game plan against Wandy is one thing. It doesn't guarantee you the win. You have to execute it to perfection. A nice exchange of jabs.
This is not the final duel of the day, by the way.
No, it's not. Just to clarify, this is not the grand finals. Is this the winners finals, Jizuzo?
Yes, this is the winners finals,
It's
and
the
then
winners
it will be followed up by the grand finale with the final losers. But we'll have some losers brackets that we need to get through first.
Yes, that's right. So we'll have the winner's final here. The loser of this gets knocked down to loser's bracket, at which point the winner of this, I believe, will get through to the grand finals. But the loser, oh, nice spacing by Duma, punished that whiff spectacularly and just caught him at the end of his range. And that was really, really good. Getting the win and apparently winning the entire map. Ah, okay. Looks like they are ready to go. This is improvised, so I apologize for the slightly improvised take, but we'll just catch this while we can from the player's perspective. Ooh, big slash drag there by Wandy. Again, we've seen him use the slash of the multi-great effect, just sort of the mix of drags and axels has really caught his opponents out so far. And of course the stam is one advantage of them all, but the other big one is, of course, such high damage with the blunt on the knight. Wandy on average probably has one less hit to kill than Duma, which, you know... Oh, and another slash axel, and that's exactly what we were talking about, just mixing the drags and the axels, really just throwing his opponents off, and they just can't seem to mix it. Catching his opponents out more with the, hang on, change team. There we go. Catching his opponents out more with the axels than the drags, which is not what you'd necessarily expect. And we're back into view mode, and this is interesting. Duma clearly having the same thought process as we are, and deciding that he doesn't want all that punishment from the blunt weapon, switching to a Messer Vanguard. Another weapon that he's very comfortable with. But this basically swings the loadout almost more in his favor. He gets a bit more stam, but also now it'll take 1d3 hits to kill him on average. And Duma only really needs potentially 2. So clever mix-up by Duma to sort of change the matchup in that respect. Ooh, and another pig slash by Wandy, and they're just so effective. Taking half of Duma's health. And again, Wandy just absolutely imperious with his defense, and Wandy going for another... Oh, but Duma getting it back with the gamble with the slash. So there is the disadvantage when you have them all. It's such a slow weapon that you could even steal back initiative straight after being hit with the weapon. However, Duma is very low on health, so he's got to be a bit more careful here. Oh, and Wandy finishing with the jab, and clearly he saw that his opponent was very low on health. And,
yes.
And Wandy's 3-1 up against Duma, and what we were talking about, how Wandy is just so good at reading absolutely everything, and you can try all the funkiest stuff, all the different techs and all the different mix-ups with your offense, but if you're Wandy and you can just read it all, and you can counter it when necessary, it eventually amounts to nothing.
And he went back.
He went back, clearly deciding it was not working for him. A good idea to try and mix it up. On paper, it was a good idea, but I know that Duma's favorite weapon is the heavy mace. At least it has been so far in the last few weeks, so clearly deciding he just wants to pick his more comfortable loadout. And we've seen that quite a lot, where players will try and mix it up, but if it doesn't work, just go back to their bread and butter. And again, like... maybe it was the ticket, because Duma getting momentum back and getting a couple of big hits and getting Wandy very low on health. Only needs one more. But with Wandy, it's not over till it's over, and Wandy getting a big overhead on him. And again, oh, and he gets a slash, and now they're both pretty much one hit from death. Oh, and he spaces it. Ooh. That was amazing. So maybe Duma realizing that he was in jab range, almost baiting out the jab and then ducking it and punishing that whiff with the jab. Really, really clever. Almost using... being on the ropes to his strength there to bait Wandy potentially. It looks like we've got MK and Tedo in the background. Looks like MK's 2-0 up on that one, so we'll keep an eye on that one if we can. I believe Wandy has now died more... Oh, hang on, no. Warby's got a few kills in him. But, yeah, Duma's pretty much killed Wandy about as much, nearly as much as every other player has combined in this entire series of tournaments. So, yeah, like, if that says something about Wandy's defense and Duma's attack, I think that's a testimony right there. Good feint to jab there. So not something you'd necessarily expect from Wandy over Duma, but clearly deciding that he wanted to mix up the tempo a little bit. Apparently Wandy will start throwing in jabs when he feels like he's losing the stamina game and is getting stammed out. Oh, and a really big... Oh, wow, when he actually accels it enough with the maul to punish the disarm. Not easy to do. And pretty much a 3-hit wonder combo there. Pretty much wiped out Duma's entire health bar in a single flurry. Such as the might of the maul attack. Potentially putting Duma against his... Duma maybe seeing his match here. He's been pretty much an unstoppable force up until this point. And no one's really found a concrete answer to him. But again, we talked about this before, where if you have good fundamentals and good defense, sometimes that's all you need. If you just do the basics well enough, it can beat almost anything.
Duma going for a straight counter.
Duma going for the matchup, yes, with the maul. Is this... Let's see. I mean, again, this is another weapon that Doom is perfectly capable of using. Very, very good. Knows its strength, so... Went for a nice side hit there. Wandy just content to parry it and not get caught out by the side hit. And Duma clearly can't get away from the mirror matches because this is the second time now. And Wandy with the first hit. Another, again... whether or not it's a back hit, I can't confirm, but it was a very good slash axel that his opponent just couldn't seem to block. Oh, and a nice exchange of jabs, and then Duma really just trying to kind of almost just get Wandy really uncomfortable, and gets a huge drag with the slash. Oh, but Duma disarmed again, probably because he used a lot of jabs. And then he tries to go for what may have been a miss to jab, but Wandy, so experienced, so maybe even saw it coming, axelled that slash as hard as he could and just about beat out that jab. And that's 5-2 to Wandy, and Duma's first loss in all the qualifiers and the final. So that's a really fantastic performance by Wandy.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Duma will be back, probably, maybe.
Duma is still in with a very good shot because he's now in loser's bracket, so he does have a chance to fight his way back in the loser's final. So he's not out yet. But well played to Wandy. That was an unbelievable performance. Just an absolute masterclass in the fundamentals. So well played to him. I'd asked to interview him, but I've gathered after last time he is very, very mic shy. So we'll just let him celebrate his victory in silence. And go and see Tedo against MK. Quasi says we don't read chat. I'm very sorry, Quasi. If you have something to say, we'll try and keep our eyes on the chat when we can, but obviously I hope you can appreciate we are flitting between a few matches. If you just want to have a query, maybe Jizuzo can have a check for you, and we can relay it to you as soon as we can.
The finals are 1st to 7.
Yes. Yes, they are. I'll get confirmation if the winners' finals 1st to 7, but I don't think it is. I'm sure that the refs or Bubble will be able to clarify that one, just to be sure how many fights, how many matches we have. But yes, we try and keep eye on the chat when we can. We've actually got other members of staff behind the scenes moderating the chat as well. So it's not just a two-man show. We'll try and keep an eye where we can, but obviously there's a lot going on. So
yeah, once again, I have to inform you that I'm currently having 6 tabs and I only got 1 screen because I'm cheating at that.
Yes, we are doing this from home. There is no fancy studio here, so we're making do with what we have, and hopefully it's.
Well, the annoying thing is sometimes I get a bit too invested in the matches, and I kind of forget to check the brackets, the chat.
Yes, but who could blame you?
I'm too busy looking at my best friend Duma, who's not really my best friend, but I did invite him over for New Year, and he didn't show up.
Oh well, maybe he was too busy playing Chivalry, and who could blame him?
Nah, he doesn't know me. He doesn't know me that well in real life.
Fair enough, fair enough. Maybe someday. Oh, a nice, after a very, very lengthy exchange of rally exchange there, Tedo getting a nice slash, which the Mesa does so well. And if we just have a quick check of the score, looks like we are... Okay, looks like we may potentially be at 3-2 in favor of MK. So another close fight. Mondario is still cheering for MK. Clearly seeing his... And it looks like Tedo is actually taking the time to post into the Twitch chat mid-duel. So there's a man with confidence there. Clearly not afraid to showboat for the cameras. Also a reminder to those who are interested in joining a clan, a lot of us don't just play Chivalry. Believe it or not, we actually have other interests besides the funny sword fighting game. If you want to just meet like-minded people who like to play different games, feel free to join any of the clans in EU, and most of them are more than happy to try out different games. So
Yes.
yeah.
I also found out recently that Mondarian is going to stream the game Isonzo that I bought him like a month or 6 ago. We were going to play it and he was going to stream it, but we don't know when that's going to happen.
Well,
Aren't we, Mondarian?
Well, Mondarian, since you're in chat, I'm sure you could. I'm sure you heard Jizuzo not so subtly advise you that you need to start going on that stream. So we look forward
And
to.
To be fair, right? It wasn't even on sale. I paid full price for it.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, there's your call out, Mondo. We look forward to seeing you stream. And we are back to another very, very, very close, very high level duel. And we talked about this happening where the level of the dueling gets so high, where their defenses are just so hard to break. That these fights will just go on with these defenses and say the mix of spins and kicks and a nice attempt at a jump by Tedo, but not quite timing it quite right, and MK countering it. And Tedo has to be careful because he's at the stam disadvantage loadout-wise, and jumping attacks are very, very costly in terms of stamina, so you won't see them too often. Ooh, a nice slash axle though by Tedo, and I don't know if that might have been a case of lockout. The heavy mace susceptible to a bit of lockout occasionally, where you can't actually block the attack after doing a heavy drag. So that may have been what happened there. I'm not entirely sure. But nonetheless, a good hit by there. And then there's another hit, and that's what happens. These fights go on forever. No one lands a hit, and all of a sudden it just starts snowballing. And MK needs to regain the momentum, otherwise he's going to find himself losing that early lead he had in this matchup. Oh, and another slash by Tedo. And those come out so quickly. He almost times those counters to perfection, where the opponent's barely finished his contact, and Tedo's already landing his counter.
Serpent and saber.
And we're off. Nice overhead drag by Tedo, really well disguised, but MK reading it really well for the counter. More light drags by Tedo. We've seen him really like those in this match, like in this finals. Really good for the light drags. Worked very well against the one-handers with the low counter windows, but maybe not quite so effective against the two-handed hammer or two-handed heavy mace. We'll see. But a good slash again.
Yeah, the great mace.
The grand mace, as I think some of our NA viewers like to call it. Heavy overhead by Tedo, and then followed by a jump. But MK reading both of those really, really well. A few more feinted jabs from Tedo, maybe just trying to keep his opponent honest and not counter too early, but again, MK reading those really well, or just being content to hold up his guard a bit longer, knowing he has that stam advantage. But that one landed though, so maybe a few too many ripostes forcing MK to counter a little bit earlier. Oh, that was a very good stab drag, and MK did a very good job to adjust his camera to catch that. Definitely more on the offensive side from Tedo, and MK can tend to be a bit more reactive. So far, though, it is Tedo who has the advantage in this fight, so we'll see if MK is content to just react to the attacks for now, or if he decides to take a bit more initiative. Another couple of jump attacks, and again, they're not landing, and Tedo has to be quite careful here, because they are very costly for stam, and he's up against a heavy mace with a knight, so if he tries those a few too many times and gets axled a bit too hard, he may lose his weapon. Went for a heavy drag there, but wasn't to be. Oh, and a nice overhead. Just pull that one out. Just stole the initiative from his opponent. Timed that to perfection, maybe reading that his opponent was going for those drags. He's gone from being, I think, 2-0 down to being 4-3 up, so a really, really good comeback here from Tedo. Can MK regain his composure?
And he's still talking smack.
Is he now? Oh, very... Clearly not afraid for the cameras, even in the most tense moments in the Trial by Blood. MK, I see, going for his a little bit of showboating himself, a bit of a cheer, and going for the Warhammer, which I think is pretty smart matchup, as we talked about. Tedo more comfortable against the two-handers than the one-hander, and as we know, MK been using this weapon quite a lot, so maybe just feeling he needs that mix-up just to try and regain momentum. We will see. And they're off. Can Tedo close it out, or can MK pull another comeback, which we have seen in so many nail biters so far in Trial by Blood? Oh, and very clever. He goes for the special, and he looked to the side as he does it, almost disguised the animation, at least from this perspective. Made it look like an overhead, and Tedo forced to parry that for quite a lot of stam damage. And missed a jab, and the combination of eating a special and missing a jab was enough to really punish Tedo. Completely lost his weapon, and even though he gets it back, he's already down a lot of health. MK eating a slash, so he's not at full health either, but Tedo now is very, very low. And probably within death for Ooh, he went for the throw with the shield. I mean, he would have wanted to get rid of it anyway because it was quite low on health, but didn't quite hit Tedo, so maybe trying to go for the cheap shot. Oh, and then Tedo going for the alt heavy, maybe alt overhead, maybe trying to heavy, and MK reading that really well and just going for a gamble from neutral with the speed of the Warhammer and beating him out, so giving as good as he gets from last round, and that's for all. That mix-up really worked for him. Used every last bit of advantage the Warhammer gives, from the special to the speed to the shield, and he's clearly decided he will stick with it one last time in a sudden death for all. Casey says it could go either way. I think we can all agree on that. Tedo approaching menacingly, just sauntering up to his opponent. Again, MK holding back. Both players very, very keen to not give away a free hit as they try and engage. Very tentative opening. And now we're getting to a more standard rally. So will we see more drags from Tedo to try and beat MK? Or will we see MK, really rely on that shield, keep those ripostes until he can? Good read on the kick. And there's that. Yeah, very good. The Messer not quite quick enough to punish that shield disarm there. And MK leaning back just to make sure that his opponent can't quite reach him for a quick follow-up.
It's all a matter of can Tedo counter as much of those hits as possible.
Exactly, and we saw earlier where he wasn't able to. Ate a special as well, and got punished quite hard by losing his weapon. So, again, a weapon with this speed with the Warhammer, that oppression with the combination of speed and stam damage, really tests your ability to counter and test your reactions and ability to read the weapon. So far.
I mean, to be fair, like, if Tedo makes it all the way out of the loser's brackets, he's been there from the beginning.
He has, hasn't he? He would have fought tooth and nail, knowing every single fight may be his last, and showing no fear at all. MK obviously progressing quite far in the draw before being knocked down, so... Oh, well-timed feint to jab there. And MK going with a jab of his own. The sort of and a slightly disrespectful slap and run away. And I wonder if he's going, oh, okay, no. I was wondering if he'd go for a tackle, and then they do a jab collision instead. And MK getting the, getting the jab second to steal initiative, and maybe Tedo not reading that correctly. It was very, very close. Getting a free hit, and that is not something that Tedo's going to want with a Warhammer when it's sudden death. And now the momentum falling with MK, I think. Oh, a huge drag, and MK just about getting the alt feint with the slash just to make sure he doesn't get caught out by that. Tedo doing such a good job in this finals of catching people with drags. Going for a nice look down overhead, trying to drag maybe around his opponent's ankles, but MK getting a good read. Both of them using some jabs, just to maybe keep their opponent on it. Yeah, over drag or under spin. I think maybe an under spin, because you saw he really went for a full 360, didn't quite hit it. And he's
gonna go for an overhead, I can guarantee it.
Oh, and MK trying to turn around. Yeah, tried to do a bit of a turn and burn, but... Oh, and a special! Oh, wow! He catches that right at the end of his range. Maybe Tedo thought he was safe, but that's something like 120 damage, and that would be 5-4. Oh, wow, that was so close at the end. That has to be one of the most clutch special attacks we've seen. Catching his opponent pretty much on the shins. And that's GG for MK, and knocking Tedo out, so really well played. Held his nerve amazingly well in what was a really tense exchange, and just finishing it with a spectacular move.
Yeah, this is what it's all about, man.
Yep.
This is what it's all about.
Ah, looks like we have a guest appearance in the duel server by Lord Moon Moon, one of the devs of Torn Banner. So shout out to Lord Moon Moon and Torn Banner, one for obviously making this wonderful game, but secondly for allowing this tournament to happen, because without their support, we would not have been able to get the servers up and running that we need to let the tournament go ahead. So shout out, thank you Moon Moon, and thank you Torn Banner for supporting us in bringing the comp scene to life. And looks like we have MK against Astro. So, MK kind of picking up where he left off, because he's stuck with the Guardian and he's stuck with the Heavy Shield. The only difference here, as you can see, he's gone for what appears to be the Falchion. And I think the reason for that is because the Warhammer was very good against the Knight with the blunt damage, but against the Vanguard you don't get that advantage. Oh, and a nice special attack. The special attack's so quick with those one-handed swords. Astro really with no choice but to just tank it for a lot of stand damage. But yes, going for a slash weapon, since that is the most effective way to remove a Vanguard's health, as it gets no bonus damage from other weapon types. Throwing a shield, realizing it's low on stam. Ooh, and then going for the neutral, like a trying to approach, but Astro just swinging for it, and in spite of the sort of relatively slower speed of the Highland Sword, gets a good slash. And Astro quite content to just sit back and let MK start the engagement. It's quite interesting. Of course, the neutral on the Highland Sword is so slow that if you try and initiate the attack yourself, quite easy to gamble. So quite content to just let MK get the ball rolling, so to speak.
Definitely.
MK very low on health though, so he's fallen for quite a few big hits from the Highland Sword. Even though it's a slash weapon, when you have as much damage as it does not take long to kill a knight. Ooh, a nice... ooh, and a big overhead riposte, and that is what we were talking about when we talk about the Highland Sword deceptive speed. It may be the slowest weapon in the game, but its ripostes, especially on the overhead, are actually deceptively fast, and quite easy to catch opponents out there for a clean 70 damage. Astro, of course, being the winner of Qualifier 1 of this series of Trial by Blood, so we already know how good he is as well. He lost one, I think he died once in his qualifier, so it was the class of the field in his qualifier as well, so no surprises he's gone as far as he has. Oh, and he went for a double overhead, made it a heavy, and did a gigantic drag, and completely called his opponent out, either by just deceiving him or catching him out of his counter window. And MK going for a Greatsword Vanguard, which we've not seen from him before. Pretty effective choice, in my opinion, because, say, the Greatsword and the Highness Sword are not that dissimilar. They have very similar damage values. You just trade a bit of length for a bit of speed, so the hits to kill for both of them will be pretty much the same. 2 shots will probably do the trick. But I think a lot of players would favour the Greatsword, I think, over the Highland Sword. The Highland Sword's a bit more of a niche choice. The Greatsword is very much commonly seen.
Ah, yes. MK sinking out of the field.
Yes. Oh, and he goes for a stab. I don't know if he's trying to fool his opponent or bait a whiff or something, but again, Astro just content to stand there, let his stamina drain. Both these weapons with very fast overheads, especially from a riposte. You can see sort of leaning into those overheads a lot, and getting to those counter rallies. Also the most damaging attack for both weapons. An interesting attempt by a special by Astro with the 360. Not you say the unique special of the Highland Sword can be very... Oh, and then again, there's where the speed of the Highland Sword just isn't quite so advantageous, because the Greatsword from neutral has got a quite good overhead, and MK just beating him out. I see Supio, who I believe is Jonesy saying Maul best weapon. If that is you, Jonesy, I know that you're a big Maul connoisseur, so to speak, so I'm sure you're happy that one of these are showing what it can do. Oh, MK going for the... Oh, and Astro. I think they both have a similar idea here. Oh, wow. Okay, so, like, clearly Astro winding up with a special and MK seeing it coming, spaces it perfectly with a stab on the Greatsword. A risky play from both of them, and it went in MK's favour. Not the first time we've seen both players just go for very high-risk, high-reward plays, and whoever gets the hit just about right, times it right, gets the win. Astro very low on health now, but a massive overhead by Astro to pull things back even a bit. One hit from death though, so he's got to be careful. Again, having that slower weapon, more susceptible, even with the Greatsword, to being gambled a little bit like we saw in the last fight. Into a more conventional counter rally here. You can see Astro using those manipulations of overheads with the toe drags and the axle mix-ups like he did so well in his qualifier. Oh, but a slight drag from MK, and his opponent caught off guard there. And Astro, with a bit of a weapon mix-up here, going for the... Okay, and MK deciding to counterpick in turn. I suppose Astro's thinking may have been, not that I can read his mind, the Greatsword High-Low Sword matchup wasn't working for him, maybe because of the speed disadvantage. And he goes, well, if I have a Greatsword on a tankier class like the Knight, maybe if I have higher hits to kill, I'm less likely to die. MK may be deciding that he doesn't like that, so counterpicking, as Warbeast calls it, where he goes, okay, well, if you're going to pick a Knight class, I'm going to pick a weapon that's good against the Knight, and we see the Warhammer that he used to such great effect against Tedo in the last round. So a bit of strategy at play there. And just to, as a reminder for our viewers who don't know, there is a limit on how many loadouts you can make. You can make 3 swaps, so they can't just do that forever. They have to be somewhat selective with their loadout choices, because they are limited. And Astro deciding he doesn't like the matchup with the Greatsword and picking a one-hander of his own, maybe just to keep up with the tempo. And Doom and oh wow, MK so aggressive, just sort of seeing Astro retreating, maybe getting a bit defensive, and like Cripsy did so well earlier in the rounds, just kind of playing off his opponent's hesitancy, you know, adding in those jabs, just kind of stamming his opponent down with a flurry of attacks. And Astro deciding, nope, if you're gonna pick a Warhammer, I'm gonna go back to my Vanguard. And we'll see if MK is going to say, yep, okay, fine, or if he's going to go, oh, hang on, if you like your Vanguard so much, maybe I'll just go back to my Greatsword, we'll see. So far, looks like he's content to stick with the Warhammer. Maybe not wanting to counterpick too much. And then going with a mace instead of a Warhammer. Oh, no, never mind.
He's going back to fucking Warhammer.
He's gone back, yeah. The mace does less damage but has more range, so there's a trade-off there. Clearly deciding that Warhammer's just been so effective that he doesn't want to don't want to change a good thing. Oh, and a nice hit on Howl. Just ate. Oh, and he goes for the special, and that Highland Sword is so slow that if he's not in jab range, not really much he can do to punish that except just hold up his guard and eat it. And he goes for another one, and he disarms him with it. Again, Astro really not able to. He could maybe try and dodge, but then he's risking eating the full damage of the Warhammer and probably, you know, being killed. So deciding that he'll just eat the hit, take a bit of damage and lose his weapon. But now very much on the back foot, probably very low on stam as well. That's probably why he's retreating. I will say we are pretty far out of bounds. So I guess maybe the rest letting it roll because there's no one else competing. But I do wonder if MK will go for a tackle, because it's very hard to punish a tackle with a knife. The range is very short, so you have to time it to perfection, but MK going, nope, I'm just going to run and just do some attacks. Oh, and then MK realizing, oh, and wow, Astro getting a bit hesitant, maybe just trying to delay his attacks to throw MK off his guard, but MK1 gets the jab to stop that from happening and to go to Astro, nope, you need to start attacking faster, but then when Astro goes for a special attack, just gambling through it, knowing that his weapon's quick enough, MK is doing a very, very good job using very effective tactics to almost counter Astro's playstyle. MK saying that he dedicates this to North America's finest one-hander, Step Bro, who is, any of our NA viewers will know, a very fine duelist, very well known. Step Bo or Step Bro. I'm not entirely sure if it's the same player, if they changed their names. Do you know him? Personally, no, but looking from the comments from
Denny doesn't exist because I don't believe in things that I've never seen before.
Fair.
There's
well,
no NA player called Step Bro. No.
Well, according to our viewers in chat from America with their reactions, it very much seems that they do know who he is. And again, for those, as we mentioned in the last qualifier, MK actually plays a lot in NA. He's actually part of the PAX clan in NA, so he doesn't just compete in EU. He is not afraid to branch outside of his region to take on the best players in other regions as well. And Astro, again, doing the runaway strat. I think I've noticed the trend where he'll start running away where he's very low on stamina. So trying to make that space. MK trying to chase him down, but needs to be careful not to get caught up in the counterattack, of course. But so far, it's very much been the case where MK's the aggressor. And Astro's just sort of trying to fight off that sort of relentless assault. And so far, not it's working more in MK's favor, of course. And going for another special attack, and again, the Greatsword quite slow. Couldn't quite punish him, and he was very close. If he just got that follow-up after that special, he would have killed him. But Astro gets a big hit in. Oh, and he gets another one. Oh, and then he tries to get away. No mistakes that time, though. And he punishes the disarm and follows it up. And that might be 5-1. Yep, so...
Yes.
That is GG, and MK wins with a very good example of aggressive one-handed play. Really, really good way of... really good example of just sort of pushing your opponent on the back foot and just pressing the attack. And well played to Astro for getting this far and putting up a really good fight. But once again, MK proceeds against a very, very tough opponent in a very, very high-quality match. We are sowers of chaos, even amongst the staff here. Switching to a War Axe, I see Bubble for optimal damage. I'm very proud of you. But back to our competitors. And away we go. I mean, they can't keep away from the mirror matches, can they? First it was the Heavy Mace with the same armor, and now they're just both deciding to do the Warhammer. I guess maybe MK would be the one who'd prefer a mix-up, considering that Duma won the previous weapon matchup. And the Warhammer playing so well into his hands. He's had some real success with this weapon. This may well be a story of whose shield breaks first, because these shields have so much health. It's very easy to just riposte a lot more, you know, play a lot safer in your defense. But whoever shield breaks first at this range, they won't be able to get rid of it, and if it breaks, you'll get a free hit on the opponent. So and as we saw there, MK shield breaks first, as we talked about, and the momentum swings so firmly with Duma. Still has a shield that he gets a few big hits in. Duma doing a very good job. His shield is very low on health. Oh, and a nice slash axle by Duma. Again, crouching into it to speed it up a little bit more. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jazuza. The KRT heraldry?
Yes. The fish is an internal meme that we have.
Fair enough. So
it was
so,
democratically elected. Yes.
Fair enough.
So everyone in KRT has it, and some people outside of KRT have it as well.
Yeah, so we've seen a few players actually using it, including Warbeast and MK. Maybe in a sign of respect to his opponent. Oh, and punishing the kick. And again, we talked about this before. If you try and kick someone with a one-hander, you better hope they aren't starting their attack too early, because it comes out so quickly. It's a lot easier to punish the kick. But as we saw there, pretty much hitting MK before his kick animation had even finished. But yeah, so it's the uniform colors of KRT clan, and I think MK just deciding he wants to match his opponent for the lols. And to confuse us, of course, because now we really can't tell them apart. Could have at least changed the shield heraldry, guys, come on. But yes.
Yes, two big, strong men smacking each other.
Yes, like, they seem to have punched each other more in the face than anything in this round. Why not? The Warhammer is a very hard weapon to react to and to read, but, you know, it's testimony to how good they are at counters. Their shields have not broken yet. Oh, a huge overhead. May have been a heavy by MK, because Doom is now very, very low on health. And again... Oh, when he finishes it with a kick, and his opponent must have seen his opponent was super low on health after that gigantic overhead. And one kick will do it, especially if you're doing a Warhammer mirror match, because you have to stay so close to each other to make sure that you're hitting each other, because the Warhammer is quite short. Makes you very susceptible to being hit by a jab or a kick. And MK timing that to perfection. Didn't go for straight away either, clearly lulling Duma a bit. Maybe... If he tried to kick straight away, Duma would have read it and tried to dodge away, but he caught him just completely off guard there. Really, really good patience. Oh, nice slash axel there by Duma. You see MK's going for a lot of slash drags. Maybe trying to exploit the slightly shorter counter window. Oh, but he over-dragged that one, and there's the risk. Duma maybe just using some movement as well to make sure it overdrags and doing a big punish on that. Going for the special. Duma not electing to punish it, just block it. Maybe the safer move, considering he's up on health and has a good shield. And yeah, very good win there.
But the real question is, will Duma get all the money?
Victory
Probably.
for the
Maybe.
Empire!
Yes,
If he gets through
so
Wandy.
yes, so the prize pool will be allocated, I think, between the top three, I believe. It's not just the winner. There will be prize pools for the runners-up, but of course the lion's share will go to the winner. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves though, because he still has to beat MK again, who actually is just like in our last match, giving him a bit of a
But
challenge.
this man has trained on a school laptop that could barely run Shiv. He
Yes.
used it. He basically put it on the lowest settings, and his frame was 800 pixels by
Ooh,
800
that's
pixels.
Yeah, so I've heard that. Oh, and there's another example of the kick just not quite working. So now they're both very low on health. I think they're both pretty much a jab from death. So who goes for it first? Oh, and oh my goodness, he knew he'd go for the jab and the kick, and now they're just and that's really clever by Duma. Duma sensing that he was, that's what we talked about before. But if you're too predictable trying to finish your opponent with the kick, you can read it, dodge away, and then punish the missed kick. And that's exactly what Duma did there. Really, really clever. Again, almost turning that weakness into a strength, so to speak. But yes, I've gathered that Duma plays on rather, maybe not the most advanced hardware, but not that it matters for him. He actually is maybe the only comp player who has the attack direction bound to movement setting turned on, which means his attack direction depends on where his character moves. And the reason being that his mouse only has 2 buttons, so it's harder for him to do alt attacks. Some comp players say that that's not what you should do, and clearly Duma says that he doesn't care because he can beat them anyway. And to be fair, he does use it to his advantage because it means that he has to move when he attacks, and as you can see, Duma's very good at using movement when he plays. Almost out of necessity.
Oh, first hit. Oh wait, second hit. Jesus.
Yep. It's the combo speed with this weapon is so fast. Often if you land one, if the opponent especially gets overzealous with a jab. Oh, and a really big drag there with a slash by MK. And he chucks his shield, realizing it's about to break. And now it's just, and MK doing that move he did on Astro where he sort of runs in, maybe trying to bait his opponent to deal with a tackle, but just hitting him instead. Duma's got to be careful, he's low on health again. Not that he seemed to care last time. Oh, that was clever. Using a stab but looking away and going for the special attack again. It's so quick with those one-handed weapons. Ooh, and a nice, almost a side hit with that overhead. Seemed to go around the side of MK's guard. And I hear some panting. So, oh, and Duma, I think MK was low on stam. I could hear him panting and Duma just hunted him down. Didn't let him get any momentum. And just caught MK a bit flat-footed there. And that'll be 5-1, so Duma wins again in the rematch. MK not able to get his revenge, and Duma now proceeds to... And again, when we talk about rematches, wins one rematch. Maybe he'll hope to win another.
I just want to say, Swooshy, that I called this. This was all his plan. This was all his plan. I told you, he was going into the loser's bracket to get to the finals.
Yes, although... Now, maybe you or Bubble could correct me if I'm wrong. He may have to beat Wandy twice if he wants to actually win overall.
Why?
I've gathered that sometimes happens in double elimination, where if you fight your way out of the losers final, it's what happened in the last Trial by Blood, where Cripsy fought out of the losers final, and then had to beat Luke Dane in first twos.
Because Wandy has not been eliminated. Yes.
Indeed, exactly. It's double elimination.
It would make sense.
And it looks like we're not necessarily hanging around. It looks like they're off. So I'm sure we'll find out soon. But if that is the way it's going to go, then Duma has to potentially potentially win twice and Wandy only the once. So
yeah, I've just confirmed with Bulbasaur he has to win twice.
He has to win twice. So there you have it, viewers. Duma needs to win 2 first twos against Wandy. First to 7s, no less, at least for the final, the grand final. And Wandy only has to win once. It can be done. Duma has a shot. And just as a reminder, Cripsy, our defending champion who was here earlier today, actually fought his way out of losers and beat Luke Dane twice in a row, having lost to him earlier in the draw to become champion, and I believe he was actually something like 6-5 down in the first one. So he was one hit from death, made a comeback, and then ran away with the grand final first 7 and won. So never say never, but Duma will have more work cut out for him than Wandy. And already Wandy, who has clearly decided that he wants to make the Maul the meta. Oh, but disarmed though. Oh, and a nice slash drag by Duma. Doing a very good job of stabbing Wandy down and taking his options away. But yes, Wandy clearly deciding he wants to make Maul the meta. A much beloved but not often seen weapon in competitions. And I must say, if he wins with this thing, even now, but especially if he wins with this thing, people might reconsider the Maul as a weapon. People would often dismiss it as not being the best option, but, you know, he hasn't lost with it yet, so maybe he's wrong. I know in NA there's a few players like Fleeing Peon who are very good with this thing, and Bungie as well, so it's not that slept on, but maybe not an unexpected pick. Oh no, that's what it does so well. Look at that light drag by Wandy, that light slash. Duma moving away from it, which almost protracted the drag a bit more, and managed to land a good hit for a huge amount of damage. Ooh, a whiff by Duma, but Wandy not able to punish it. So, when it comes to Wandy's guard, which again we've touched on in the past, but Wandy isn't fully. I don't think people kind of misunderstand the way he's able to get such a good defense, because Wandy he counters when he can, but he's very safe with it. People think that Wandy counts every attack. Oh, and Duma misses the spin, and Wandy punishes it with a brutal slash axe elf. Maybe he was a bit out of range. The heavy mace not the longest weapon, and a very good bit of spacing by Wandy, or maybe just a bit under dragged.
Both players, as far as I can see, have 0 ping. Duma has 0 ping, and Wandy has 0 ping.
Excellent. So we know that the person who wins this, hopefully, is winning purely on skill and not of any server-related ping issues. Considering how much these two love jabs, it's probably for the best that they both have 0 ping. But yes, so what you'll see from Wandy is he doesn't counter everything. Because if you counter... Oh, and again, a slight overdrag by Duma, and Wandy getting a good punish with that slash. Duma needs to be a bit more careful with these drags and spins, because you can't afford to make an error. Oh, but a nice heavy slash by Duma, doing a good chunk of damage to Wandy. Another about even, and he actually disarms him and finishes him with a really quick overhead axel. Really pulled that one back there, actually, just when you thought he was in trouble. So, Wandy tends to counter if he sees that it's a feint, a heavy, or a very obvious regular attack. If someone just does an Axel riposte or an Axel counter, he will tend to just riposte it, because he knows that if he starts countering too early and trying to counter too many of those faster attacks, he makes himself more vulnerable to drags and spins and feints. So he will not counter. He will tend to counter as late as he can, as long as he has the stamina for it, which is why he tends to like classes which have a lot of stam, like the Heavy Mace Knight or the Vanguard. And then he'll like to use weapons that have a lot of stam drain himself, so that he has a bit of advantage in the stamina trade-off. But, oh, and Duma going for a heavy, and maybe a bit of a gamble by Wandy, and even so, like, he axelled that as fast as he could and did a huge overhead, and Duma maybe getting caught out a bit there, over-dragging slightly.
Yeah, but maybe Duma will win this one, and then Wandy will win one, and it goes back and forward.
Well, that's pretty much what's happened so far, hasn't it? Duma, to be fair, he has to be careful with those drags, but his Axel game is working very well. Because, like I said, Wandy, as you can see it just there, if he's getting Axelled, he will tend to riposte it. So, if you give him a lot of Axels, like Duma's doing here, another missed spin, and I think Wandy using the player speed of his Devastator class actually to good effect by making sure there's whiff by using good spacing. But yes, if you Axel Wandy enough, it's a good way to force his stamina down. And when his stamina gets low, he's forced to counter early or be disarmed, and that's when he becomes more vulnerable to those drags and those feints. So that seems to be Duma's game plan here. Use a lot of Axels, and then maybe catch him afterwards with some drags and feints and spins when his opponent's stamina is getting low. Unfortunately, so far, he's not quite hit those drags. And again, another example of where Wandy almost walks away from the spin. And it's actually a whiff. So quite clever there by Wandy. I see Moon Moon with the broom is cheering for the players. It's good to see the support. Oh, and an overdrag by Wandy this time, and Duma really beating him with a good Axel. That was a big punish there. Oh, and he disarms him again, and that's exactly what we talked about. Wandy had a lot of riposte there because Duma was doing some very good Axels and gets that disarm that Duma was looking for. And the game plan by Duma is working. He's adapted very well to Wandy's playstyle from last time, and it's actually paying off. 3-2. He has a mountain to climb, but climbing it, so far he is. Oh, and he gets the kick. Very clever, because people are so now conditioned so much to Duma's feint to jabs, realizing that they're starting to hold their guard to not get caught by the jab and using the kick to exploit this.
Swooshy,
Yes.
can we increase the camera? Can we zoom in a bit? Or is that not possible?
I did actually try, and I don't know what happened, but I tried to go back. I tried to go in and out, back to spectate, and for some reason it's locked. Let me just see if I can find a way to... If anyone in chat who is more tech savvy than we are knows how to zoom in on the players, please let us know. Because, yeah, like I said, this just happened on its own.
I have the
FOV.
first suggestion. Yeah, lower the FOV.
Okay, I will do that once this fight is over. Thank you, Or. You are the best. But yeah, not entirely sure why that happened, because it did happen by itself midway through this finals, so...
Yeah, you tank... Oh, I'll take Badger Matrix, because he was faster.
Oh, okay. Well, thank both of you. So lower FOV settings in... Oh, and again, another... Looks a bit like a whiff by Duma. I think that looks a bit better. Now we can get a good view of these players as they kind of beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah, there's some juicy stuff.
Yes, thank you viewers for that, much appreciated. So yes, Duma realizing he really has to make these drags work if he's going to catch Wandy, but maybe just overcompensating a tiny bit, dragging a little bit too hard, and combined with Wandy's good movement, kind of making them miss and punishing him quite hard for that. So Duma gonna need to be quite patient to make these drags work, and he can't overcompensate by overdragging. And again, Wandy with that maul just does so much damage. You don't have to hit your opponent that many times, and then he does. I think Duma may have gone for a gamble with a jab, but Wandy with the riposte stab is just too quick and beat him out. And we're at 4-all, and this is getting really, really close. This is getting tense, and just as a reminder, Wandy only has to win one first two. Duma has to win two.
But once Duma gets through this, he just has to do it one more time.
He just has to do it one more time. So yeah, he is doing a very good job of giving himself a shot, but Wandy is not going to just let him have it. Oh no. I suppose, Jizuzo, to be fair, since we both were having apparently bets that one of these two players was winning, the fact they both made the finals maybe speaks to the fact that we know what we're talking about. Who knows? I'd like to think so.
Nah, it just means that my faith...
there's the drag. Oh, and the combo.
Means that my faith in Duma is quite high.
Well, as it should be. He's a fabulous player. And look at that spin. And there it finally pays off. He whiffed a few of them before, but he timed that one to perfection. Just caught him at the end of range and got Wandy with an absolute flurry of blows. That was masterful. And I think that's what he'd been trying to do all this time. And maybe he didn't hit it every time, but that time he got it to perfection. And what a time to do it as well. So it looks like it's a first to 7. He is in the lead. If he just keeps that up and plays like that again... Yes, it's first to 7. Thank you, Bubble. If he does that again, that'll be just what's needed to beat Wandy. And to say, ooh, but a nice slash again by Wandy, a good Axel, catching Duma in the side of his ribs almost. I think it speaks to Wandy's defense, though, that it took a combo, a set of moves. Oh, and a big drag by Wandy. Takes Duma's head clean off, and maybe Duma just feeling he had to counter early, either because his stam was low or just worried about getting too many ripostes in, and his guard just did not go there, and that was quite fast. So Wandy Wandy's not rolling over. He's definitely, I think, given the choice, Wandy would definitely rather take this one in one first to 7 than 2. Because if Duma wins the first to 7, even though he has to do it twice, the momentum will firmly be in his favor. 5-all. Doing a sequence of jabs. Wandy, again, getting familiar with that one, so not getting caught by the second one. Oh, and a really big slash, and that may have looked like a back hit. You saw again how he sort of turned away from it, maybe angling to look behind his opponent's shoulders, and that may have actually been a Dream slash. Whatever it was, it worked, and Wandy now down to half health. Oh, a nice feinted jab there by Wandy, realizing that Doom is starting to counter quite a lot, and then follows that up with a big overhead. Yep, Duma may be low on stamina because he's starting to counter quite early, and he's getting susceptible to the feinted jabs and a couple of drags. So, again, the Maul with that huge stamp drain doing good work in... Oh, and another really big slash by Wandy. That came out so quick. The wind-up barely happened, and as soon as he got the block up, he just went straight for it, and off comes Duma's head. And that's match point, I believe. I believe that if Wandy wins this next fight, he will be the Trial by Blood champion.
Yes, it's all the beans in the basket now.
Hold your breaths.
But I have faith in Duma as our Lord and Savior that he will win.
Well, never count him out because he has done so well to get this far, and he's pushed Wandy all the way. Can he do it, or will this be the final fight in EU's Trial by Blood? We're going to find out right now. Massive overhead drag by Wandy. Duma just catching it, and then a great slash. And he's getting even more aggressive. But maybe one jab too many, and Wandy just going, nope. I'm just going to gamble you, but then Duma with another slash. And these two almost getting more aggressive as it goes on. And now they're both at the brink of death. They are not shy. Oh, how will this end? He gets a kick, and that's enough. And it looks like Wandy has taken it 7-5. And there you are. Wandy with a clutch kick in a very aggressive final fight. And there he is. Here is your EU Trial by Blood champion for the second EU Trial by Blood. That is Sack Wandy. Congratulations to you. That was incredible. He did not lose a single round all the way through qualies to winning the entire draw. And if that's ever a testimony to how good he is and the fact that he may well be the best player in EU, I think we saw it right there. And yes, someone in chat says, thank you, Mumu. Yeah, thank you, Mumu. Thank you for your support. Thank you, Connect. Thank you, Torn Banner, for your support in helping this go. And thank you to all you viewers as well. You know, it means so much that you've all come out in force. You've helped contribute to the prize pool and support these players all the way. Cheered for your friends and even your rivals. And without this, it couldn't be possible. And it makes everything worth it for us as well. So thank you. It does mean a lot that you've come here today and for making this event so special. And thank you to our competitors as well. Everyone who took part. We've had so many people enter, so many people show the best they have, and fight right to the very end. And in the end, there could only be one winner, but everyone who took part is a winner in our eyes. Because without you guys as well, we could never have had this event. And I think it's testimony to how good and Wandy disconnects, not even bothering to stay around to celebrate. What a legend. But yes, thank you to all our contestants as well.
He's probably celebrating right now.
Yes, true. Well, if he's anything like me, I'm gonna get a drink as soon as this is over and celebrate the fact that we have had a very successful tournament. Again, a huge shout out to everyone who's been involved. Thank you to all our staff, all our referees. Thank you to Bubble, Cody No, Dog Eater for moderating, Cacao for co-streaming, and everyone who volunteered to referee. And thank you, Jizuzo, for streaming with me. And again, as a reminder to everyone here, I'm KWA Swooshi, and I have been your host for Jizuzo for this match. And I'm glad that I could see some familiar faces and new faces in the chat, and have a good time with you on the way. And I'm sure we'll look forward to seeing you in the Joyard in the future before the next tournament, because yes, this is not the end.